No! Right. Good evening, everyone. We are back in the Blitz Asia Cup, so very fun games you're going to be watching tonight. Not much to say. It's going to be a double elimination. First up, we have Feast versus GB, and then Team ID versus XLV. The map pool for the upper bracket semi-finals will be starting off with Black Goville, and then Mayan Ruins. Finally, the tiebreaker will be on Port Bay. Lower bracket semi-finals, the map pool will be Middleburg. Next is Faust, and tiebreaker will be Oasis Palms. If you this is not a reward stream, and if you're watching on Twitch, that would be good. But if you want to get your rewards, go and log into go to the official website of the wargaming website of your region, and then click into the tournament tab there, and there's a really big tab there. Click on it, and there's a video. Click on it and log in, and you will get your rewards. You will get keys to open some of the containers you get by playing the random matches, so some lucrative rewards there. Make sure you log in and get all your rewards. So without further ado, so we have I am with Aminet as a commentator with me alongside me, and then we have Fridget. So there we go. So before I continue, I will still kind of mute my desktop audio, and I will bring it up when I got it. Right, who is playing on the stream? That's going to be that's the teams that are playing in the tournament, so all of them are from tournaments. Hello Hub. Hello Martin. Oh, we got someone from Twitch. That's really nice. That's good. Fujit's also in the lounge with me, and also Eminet. We're doing he will be analyzing the matches. He will be the analyst for us tonight. Right, there we go. Sorry for the wait. I think Eminach will start to say something very soon. Okay, when will the battle start? It will start in around 7 minutes. I have imposed a delay, so it will start like 5 minutes as the described time, later as the described time. Hello? Yes. Well, that must be some problem. Yeah, we're into the room, so let's check. Okay, that there is some kind of technical issues where I cannot hear either Eminet or Fujit, which is really strange. Okay. Let me just recheck. Oh god, Discord is not, oh, it's lagging. This is not good. I'm sorry guys, Discord has been not logged. Having some technical issues in Discord, unfortunately. That's not good. Hello Layla, hello everyone, hello Royal Tiger, hello Winter Fox. Thank you, Darth Antonius, thank you Tony, wishing me good luck, thank you very much. No map box today. Although it's ready for today, but I didn't get to work and I didn't have time to kind of tweak that. A lot of Russian, I don't know what you mean by that. So we are seeing Feast. We're going with Maddox in the double and the IS4 alongside Bifrost, BBG the E5 alongside Silver and the Silver R, which is also Arc9 3D, and the normal F Silver is in the Vickers Light, Jackie Mark in the IS4, CX in the Crown Bargain. GV, we are seeing Berlin in the IS4, triple E5 split by Barcelona, Moscow, and Tokyo, Doha in the Crown Bargain, Paris in the Vickers Light, and Professor in the T22. I'm trying to get everything fixed. Oh gosh. Oh, I just have to kind of restart my Discord. I'm sorry, guys. I have to kind of like the only first stream without Mnet for now. While I'm trying to restart my Discord, I hope everything is going to be fine. It's just it doesn't let me back in. First game, Feast versus GV. Now, while I'm trying to kind of reconnect back into the Discord, Feast will be on the south side, and GV will be on the north side. Feast going mostly to A, while GV, looking at them, will be going mostly to, I believe it's going to be B and C. Meanwhile, Professor's getting A and the Feast. We have, I believe if I try to kind of, well, no. Also, they're going for C as well. Now, I'll see if I can connect again. Yes! I'm back! Oh. Yes! Oh, I have to kind of hard restart my Discord. I'm sorry. Oh god. True. Fidget, are you able to see now? Yes. No problem. Let's see. GV defending really defensively over to B and C, while Feast, they don't have a cap lead, so it's all them to make a move. And now we're seeing both Maddox and Bifrost getting spotted in mid, though. Still nothing much has been happening going on. Silver in that TD position to kind of get some spots in. But equally, Feast doesn't know if anyone's on C, so Feast is playing a cautious game, but you know, all the GV forces are clustered towards their spawn, so it will be up for Feast to kind of get the information for them. They need that Vickers Light to do that job, and A will be easy for them if they know that. Yes. Meanwhile, we are seeing Professor Moscow and also Paris going in straight for Jackie Mark. Jackie Mark might be in a little bit of trouble here. We're going to get over to here for a second. Yes, it's going to be a 1 vs 3, but Jackie Mark's still really healthy at the moment. That will buy enough time for Feast, and at the moment they're now going to push on to Berlin. Berlin is dropping really quickly the hit points of that. Me too. And now with Feast going to enter the 800 point territory, which the music's going to play. However, they don't have the hit point pool advantage, and they lost 2 tanks as well, so they will need to defend really well. They don't have that advantage. They need to be careful. Meanwhile, Tokyo and Barcelona pushed in and kills off Maddox, but it's all to the focus file Feast to get Tokyo out of this game, and Bimugu very, very low. F-Silver also down now. Yes, and GV got the first game, sorry. On points, yes. Well done to GV. That was a game that I thought Feast had the advantage with GV spending too much time killing off Jackie Mark. But I believe it was, the maybe the tanks they have, and also the kind of focus fire in the end that won them the game.
Before it was really needed at base B, in my opinion.
Yep. Apologies, I forgot to turn on my my audio, my desktop audio. So now you should be hearing
Jack,
me,
what
and
is
also
wrong with you?
so many stuff going on. Like I
Of
was like,
all the days to do this.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's now fixed. I mean, no one's complaining about that at the moment.
Well, at least I could hear you on my end, so that's at least a little bit helpful.
Yes.
But
Well,
here we go.
I have so many
47
Russian
seconds
people
left. And we have Feast getting ready in 3 IS4s, 1 Kranwagen, 2 E5s, and the Vickers again. Versus 1 IS4, 3 E5s, a Kranwagen, a Vickers, and a T22 medium. So same lineups as last game, I believe.
Yes, it is. Meanwhile, I my oh sorry, so many stuff not working. I don't know for some reason. Oh god. Oh god. Are you kidding me? I can't hear anyone again. Okay, yeah. I will not. I will not do. I will not do the feed for. I'm just going to restart my Discord once again, and I'm going to join Eminet back again. I apologize for that. Once again, we are seeing Feast. This time going straight back up, and they're going for A. Meanwhile, GV is also going for B and C. And once I'm back on Discord, I will be back dual commentating with Eminet. And now Feast is going to get A, and Professor puts a really good resetting shell into F Silver at the moment. And A is going to it's going to be captured by F Silver again, but this time GV will have the cap lead. They got C here. Meanwhile, Bifrost and also Mad Dogs are going really, really aggressively. We saw that on the RU server. Will that work in the Asia server? We'll see. We'll find out really, really soon. And now I'm going to be back for the commentary.
Going to give away base A as easily as JV did last game. But
there we go.
Still won. Are you back?
Yes, I am back. Jackie Mott's getting spotted, but so does Berlin. And meanwhile, this time GV will have the cap lead once again, and we will see it's all about Feast making that move, making that rotation.
Exactly. They will probably go for base B at some point. They have base A nicely protected with Maddox there. Anyone going for it will get spotted. And Maddox is nicely hidden behind the pipes there, so he can't really get shot.
Right. Meanwhile, the reason why I have a lot of people speaking Russian is because the Irish stream is broken. But we're not seeing a lot of action here. Mad Dogs and Beefrock still holding really aggressively, but GV's doing pretty much nothing to counter that aggressiveness.
The Jackie Mark spotting up Berlin nicely. They know that they can't just go into base B this time. But still, Feast has to make the move.
They need to make a move.
JV is playing it a little bit smarter than Feast did last game. They have 2 tanks at base C rather than just the 1. And 1 with an excellent view rate, so they will also be spotted a lot sooner if they decide to try and get base C.
Yes, meanwhile, Bifrost and Mad Dogs are making a big move into Berlin, but they need to be really careful.
Dangerous, very dangerous.
Very dangerous, but very sneaky as well. But Feast managed to isolate Burnin now. Burnin is now horrendously isolated. Good job by Feast there.
But Maddox and Frost are in horrible positions here. I'm not sure if this was worth the gamble. Maddox can't stay up there, and at the same time, if he goes down, they can be pincered very easily.
It all depends whether F-Silver and also Big Mugu can come in as soon as possible, because right now GV can shut down both Bifrost and Maddox immediately. They need to close him as soon as possible.
Now we have Feast responding, but it's a bit late for that, honestly. They do take out Berlin, but they're going to lose Maddox and Frost, because the whole rest of JV is now moving in on Frost, and the rest of Feast is not yet there. Professor does get taken out, though. Was that an ammo rack? Or just a lot of double taps?
I think it's a double tap. But Feast still has the hit point advantage. Yes.
Yeah.
Feast has a lot of hit point advantage right now. They're now more than 1k of hit point advantage. Silver is getting pincered, but the focus they're going for is Doha.
The thing is that they had the HP advantage and all, but they were just so spread out that basically JV can focus on one tank at a time, and that is very dangerous. They will need to get base C as well. CX getting horribly outgunned here.
True. Unfortunately, GV now is getting a little bit confused. They want to get the caps back, but now Feast got both B and C, very shortly C. It's going to be an uphill battle for GV here. But they also killed CX.
I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Feast, to be honest, because they need to take out the low HP targets in order to win this.
And they don't have the caps.
Exactly.
Yes. But there are so many one-shots here for the GV side. They need to kill off at least one so that the timer won't take, the cap points won't take in favor of GV.
Kranwagen now getting tracked and shot from multiple sides, which is absolutely brilliant, to be honest. And that was an expensive ram kill, but it worked. He might survive it. Oh, the Kranwagen has been taken out. My camera just went rogue, which is not helpful.
Nope. But now GV got the hit point. Pull it again. They got B again. It's all on GV to kind of kill off Jackie Mark and seal off the game, unless some miracle happened.
Exactly. This is going to be JV's game. You can already tell they've reached 1k points now, and they even take out Silver. This was with the move of who was it again? Frost and Maddox basically being in that horrible position. It cost them the game because the rest of Feast did not move in fast enough.
No, it was the Kranwagen Vicky's Light, which was a little bit slow. And GV did really well in the focus fire, let's be honest here. I mean, they just kind of focused down on one single tank.
This was absolutely brilliant by JV with the way that they kept tracking targets and then just murdering them. And then basically they moved in a pack, but they didn't move in a cluster, so they weren't too close together in order for stuff not to work anymore. This was really well played by JV. But it's put Feast at a big disadvantage here because now JV is up for a match point.
Yes. Feast, we're going to Mine Ruins. Mine Ruins arguably is a map that favors heavy tanks, and GV will be wanting to make use of that because Feast, they love mobility. I'm not sure if it's going to work for them. It's going to be hard for Feast to make a comeback here.
Yeah, it is. They will need to play very cleverly, and so far they've played very impatiently, and that can be very dangerous here. The funny thing is that even though this is a map that allows for heavies, look at the lineup that JV is sporting right now. They have one mouse and an IS-4, but the E5s with the speed boosts don't really count as heavies. And then you have the 140 and the T22. So with this lineup versus 3 IS-4s, 2 mice, an E5 and a T22 medium, I would say that GV has the advantage just with running around and camping bases alone already.
Yeah, meanwhile, we'll see with Feast now going with only one medium. That's something that we seldom see for Feast team, and GV going with an Object 140. I think this is the first time we see an Object 140 in another team rather than Feast. So how is it going to work out?
On this server days, we have seen it quite a few times on the EU server.
Yes.
It is. The thing is that with games like this, Feast has a tough pickle because they will need to lock down 2 bases. And that's not going to be easy when you have this little mobility.
No. I'm sorry. I was so distracted today. Ugh, I apologize.
Just focus on the game, son.
No problem.
In the meantime, we have one feast member sporting an ID avatar. Not sure why.
No. We got an imposter here.
Very sus.
Very sus, yes. Maybe that's the reason why Feast is not clicking at the moment, but they need to click right now because they need to win 3 games straight in order to win it.
To be fair, even if they lose this match, they're not knocked out completely yet because they still have the lower bracket to go through. In the meantime, I'm still not loaded into the game. Oh, there we go.
I'm loaded.
Just as I say, I should have said that earlier because that actually works.
True. And Feast are going for mostly for A and B. Meanwhile, GB goes
have to with this lineup.
They have to. I mean, that means GB can capture C pretty quickly. Once again, Feast do not have the cap advantage. With Setup Silver going straight into B. This is going to be interesting because potentially you can have one tank pretty much out in the game for the entirety of the game.
Exactly. And with them having Barcelona and Berlin here, they can continuously decap that B cap unless he's basically Silver is not moving enough because he's trying to stay in the same place. He's actually getting shot more. He's now moving out with more tanks from JV moving in.
Right, this is like the classic example where you try to get B and then you couldn't, and then you have that tank which cannot do much. We'll see how Feast is going to deal with that. But Berlin is taking a lot of hits down to a 2-shot now. He's not long.
This might work. Silver could now potentially go back and cap that base. He's not doing so now, but Berlin is being taken out. We have JV rotating around to take out Silver, but Feast is responding to that immediately.
True, and now Feast has a substantial hit point advantage. They really want to make sure they can kill all 7 tanks, and they need that focus fire here. And Silver is going to be down at any moment.
Very down, very quickly. He might still get one shot in, but that will be it. He does do that, but then he dies.
Yes. Meanwhile, Professor's very low, and this is the focus that his Feast is going for. He's down to 1 shot. Can Matos finish him off?
Yes, he can, with a ram kill.
That's
now
a really
we have
good
Moscow,
round
that is the next in line to get murdered. And Maddox takes him out as well.
Feast still has some hit point advantage in fact over 3k to 5 point advantage. Silver is a 1-shot and he is killed by Barcelona. This game is looking really good for Feast at the moment.
It is, but it is a very chaotic game, not gonna lie.
We are descending into pandemonium. Throw in all the chaotic words. I mean, there are tons of words that I need to throw in. But now, Barcelona is dead. Tokyo is down to potentially a 1-shot. He doesn't have the ammo rack. His ammo rack is damaged.
Oh no, poor guy. Maddox taking him out as well. Maddox ranking up the kills this match. Now they're going after Doha. Leaving the object 40 for last. But they have the base advantage now. They have the gun advantage, the point advantage. They have everything.
Yeah.
Mugu missing a shot at close range there. Not sure what happened.
Doha is dead, and Paris is trying to kill off CX, but he's the last man standing. Nothing much is happening, and, well, this game goes to Feast very convincingly.
Yes, very convincingly, which is a good... which bodes well for the rest of the matches, to be honest. Because it seems like Feast is regrouping.
Right.
At the same time, though, it was a very, very chaotic game.
Very chaotic, but Feast was in control for the entirety of the game. They were in control of the chaos, and obviously if you're in control of the chaos, then you're going to do really well.
Yeah.
And Feast got the win at last. And it seems like I'm not the only one which has some issues with stream. I'm seeing on the chat the ARWV portal stream is not working for them.
Oh no! Oh, poor guys.
Oh. And that's why I'm getting a lot of people typing in the chat, which I was not expecting, to be honest with you.
That kind of does explain the 3,892 viewers we have right now. That is insane.
Yes.
Honestly, this breaks all my previous records, even when I streamed on Wargaming's official channel. So yeah, if, like said before, if you want rewards, you need to watch through the portal of your server, and you need to make sure that you are logged in there, and then you can watch and get rewards.
Yes. Yeah, I've kind of made a heads up to Wargaming for that issue. So hopefully, for the people watching on the RU server, hopefully your stream will be fixed soon. And I hope you don't mind this stream. If you're watching from my end, I hope you don't mind. It's a little bit buggy.
Chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, with 47 seconds left to go, both teams are completely ready, and we see Feast sporting the same lineup as before, versus now JV sporting a very different lineup with 2 mice, an IS-4, 2 E5s, and 140 and a T22 medium. And that's going to be interesting because they're taking a lot more armor now.
Yes, and Feast, I was pretty surprised they could make the heavies work. Previously, we saw them using a lot of mediums and lights, and I'm genuinely surprised about that. But GV, that last game, they were a little bit their concentration was not as good as the games in Black Ops. They were caught off guard, but they absolutely need to get back that performance right now. And we're going for the second game on Mine Ruins.
But there's more pressure on Feast here than there is on JV, because Feast has to win 2 matches in a row in order to get the match point, and JV only has to win once.
Very true, and the pressure is onto Feast, and hopefully, GV, this is not the time you want to be on tilt. Although it's a double elimination, you want to benefit your team as much as possible in this stage,
as safely as possible, and that will generally help. Here we go. I'm actually in time for the countdown clock in the game. That's nice.
Nice. God. Meanwhile, we have Feast on the north side, going again mostly to A and B. Ooh, what happened?
I need to wait. Let me put it this way. I actually had to move my camera because I didn't actually pay attention to that because I don't see that in the game.
Yeah, GV going for mostly again C with the double mediums and double mediums, no lights obviously, and once again GV will be having the cap lead. This is kind of like the main theme of GV in this matchup for now. GV gets the cap lead and Feast is trying to make that right rotation.
One sec, guys. I'm working to getting back into the game, but the game is being a bit glitchy for me now, and
oh my god!
It's the day of technical issues, really.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I feel a little bit. Oh.
Basically, what happened is that now my Windows is being screwy, and it's not letting me switch back to the game. So basically, I'm still in the spawn. We do see what is happening, but like very far away.
Yeah,
so that's not very helpful.
F-Silver got A, but took a really big hit trying to do that. It cost him more than half of his HP here. Meanwhile, GV is now barreling in with the mouse. They're going to reset A, which is a very good call for them, and that would mean Feast will have no caps at hand. They will be fighting a really tough battle here. Barcelona is isolated, however. Pre-frost is a little bit low, so well, you can argue that Bifrost is isolated.
Because Windows is really hating me. It's like, you know, have that
well, meanwhile, Barcelona is trying to run away from this quagmire here. Am I disconnected once again? No, I can hear you. I thought my end's going to get some trouble, but it's not really the case. Did I not get the transition up? Sorry. Bibigu puts a really good show into Paris.
So
and Bifrost is down. Everything is descending into pandemonium, including the game you're seeing right now.
What's happening in the game, hun? You're the only one seeing it right now.
No, I will try to commentate on myself only. Bibigu puts a really good shot in Paris, but Doha kills off F-Silver. Meanwhile, Paris is killed. But GB is also getting B-cap as well. And now if they get B-cap, they'll get both A and B, and the hit points will be going straight into the favor of GB. Feast, they lost CX as well. They are in big trouble. Tokyo needs to be dead as soon as possible. It's been killed by Bibigu. It's 4 versus 5 for Feast.
Oh my god.
Not a lot of time left.
I'm trying to I'm loading back into the game, and I see people getting killed because you see that in the list when you load in, but it's not actually loaded me in.
True, Berlin is down to one shot. It's still very tantalizingly close. 3 versus 5. Bimugu on the fuego, but he doesn't have a repair kit for that. And his ammo rack is down. Oh no. Bimugu is dead. It's 2 versus 4. This game could go to GV. 960 cap points now.
go.
GV.
I'm back into the
GV
game.
will be taking home this one. Feast will be going to the lower bracket first round. Congratulations to GV.
So close though. By
It was close, yeah.
I'm sorry I missed most of this match, guys. I tried to fix the minimap thing and basically everything went to hell with that. Oh my god.
Oof, look at the damage here.
Minimap thing. So they will see this in a few minutes time. I tried to fix it. It is fixed. I moved to the other side now. I fixed it, but delay. Sorry guys, and Windows hated me a bit there.
Yep.
So yeah.
I have to apologize for my stream and also for Eminet's stream.
It's seriously, it's just basically, of all the days for stuff to go horribly wrong, this would not be the day that you wanted.
No, obviously not.
Honestly, but yeah, the first match is going to JV then, which means that Feast is moving to the lower bracket. I need to also now edit my game volume because otherwise people can't hear you. So that's set to 0 now. I will switch it back once we have a room. So yeah, that last match, do tell me what that was all about because I missed some stuff.
Right, oh, I was a little bit distracted as well, but once again, GB got a cap lead, but this time GB was much more aggressive and much more coordinated this time. Feast, they were caught a little bit in a little bit of chaotic situation, so Feast looked really confused and they couldn't really focus down the tanks of GB, and GB just did better focus fire, had a much better idea of what is going on their end, and in the end GB came out on top.
So well deserved. They played really well the previous matches as well. I'm not gonna lie there. The very chaotic match that Feast won, it was very chaotic. There seemed to be not that much coordination there until Feast had the upper hand and then they moved with it. But yeah, that's very, very tricky stuff. Also, just to explain, I've streamed with webcam like maybe twice before, and that was raiding streams. But then I have my iPad hooked up, so my minimap is in a completely different location. So I actually hadn't thought about the fact that my webcam in that location would block the minimap in-game. So my apologies for that. It is fixed now. It should work normally now, and hopefully the rest will go a lot more smoothly than it has so far. Whew.
True. I have to sincerely apologize to Fujit as well, because I was supposed to kind of give him the live feed, but that crashed my Discord. That didn't go well for my Discord, so I apologize. But Fujit, you've been seeing the first 3 games, right? So what do you think?
Well, I mean, in summary, I'm just going to summarize it. The heavy lineup today for Feast just didn't work. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you look at the 2 games on Black Goldville, they were far heavier than GV in both those games. GV using that mobility, staying together as a pack, they were able to rotate and react a lot quicker than Feast were on both games, which is why they came up top there. To be honest, Feast seemed a little bit disjointed on Black Goldville, to be perfectly frank with you. It seemed like they tried to control the middle of the map, whereas GV were just able to isolate tanks and take them down. Mayan Ruins, wow. Again, I mean, the first game, Feast, had 2 mouses. They were a much heavier lineup. They had a 2,000 hit point advantage over GV. They jumped into that B cap, spotted a lot of the GV guys very quickly, and were able to push round onto the GV mouse, and that was a big kill early on for Feast.
That really worked out for them.
Absolutely, and it changed the momentum of the game in that particular match. Feast in that game, they were much more focused. Their focus fire was better, their reaction was better, their positioning was better, and it really, really showed. They dominated the first game. Unfortunately, I only heard the final game, but it sounded like GV I'm seeing from the lineup, they had a much heavier lineup with those 2 mouses. So they were able to contain Feast a little bit better. And from what I heard, it seemed to go a little bit disjointed for Feast, unfortunately. I was watching the stream from Jack, and you could see that there was a better coordination by GV. They picked their socks up after realizing what Feast were going to do from the first game, and they were able to counter Feast effectively. Again, Feast just seemed very, very disjointed and out of position in that game. Not the Feast that we saw in the prequels, I have to say.
No. They haven't clicked today. They looked very disjointed, and they looked they haven't clicked. All honestly, they need to click in the next one. Because, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because if they don't click right now, they lost one fixture, and if they lost the next fixture, they're out. We don't. With a team like Feast, it's genuinely disappointing.
I mean, in summary, well played GV. They were able to react.
Absolutely.
They picked their tanks correctly. I think they stuck to their strats. They were able to control the first 2 maps on Black Goldville, and they controlled the final map on Mayan. There was a blip where Feast were able to dent them on the first game of Mayan Ruins, but it just wasn't enough, unfortunately. And Feast really need to they really need to look at their, I know they went a lot heavier in all those games, apart from the last game. They went a lot heavier than GV, and it really allowed GV to use their mobility to maximum effect. And if you watch the second game in Black Goldville again, what GV do, they just isolate and pick up the tanks one by one. It was fantastic to watch.
That's basically what I wanted to point out, because this wasn't so much Feast playing bad, it was just a lot more basically J.
Yeah, I
lost
totally
you a
agree.
bit.
I totally agree. They didn't play badly, just GV played better. And you're right about that. Great games, fantastic to watch. But Feast, as I said, really need to go back and have a check, because they are in the lower brackets at the moment for today, and they really need to get back to that winning formula that they had in the prequels.
Right, so I've just heard that the ARWV stream is now back online, so my moderators have already put the link in the chat. They will put the link in the chat again. Here. Okay, good. Right, so make sure you're going to log in and watch the stream. Hopefully you get all your rewards. I cannot apologize on their behalf though. Yeah, but it's open now. It's the game. It's the map. It's the room up. No, not yet. So, what are we going to expect for HLV versus Team ID next here? Just going to briefly sum up. HLV will be the clan that's going to punish the other clans for being a little bit too careless, very decisively. While Team ID, they are known for their rushes and also very early wins. So we'll see how these two are going to match up with one another. What do you think, Eminet?
I kind of missed it because my Discord didn't cut me off. It's seriously, it's the day of the whole, basically everything going wrong that can go wrong. But all in all, it seems to be working again now. I'm curious to see, do we know actually what match we're going to get next? Is that the HLV versus ID?
Yeah, HLV versus Team ID, yes. We don't have the room up yet, so let's ask Fujit as well. What do you think about that matchup?
Well, I mean, if you go back to the way the teams used to play, I mean, ID would be the clear favourites in that matter, but HLV have been looking very strong coming up with prequels. So you can't underestimate these teams. That's the thing, and it's so close to core that I hate to say which one's the favourite. HLV had a stunning pre-qualification tournament. ID weren't firing as they normally do, so it'd be difficult to call that one. I'm looking forward to it. It'd be interesting to see who gets the upper hand.
Right. Eminet, do you have anything to add?
No, I kind of agree there. I mean, I have to admit, I haven't been following Asia Server nearly as closely as I've done previous seasons because I haven't been streaming them. But I know that ARWV is basically, for both teams, it's whether or not they have a good day or not. Because if they have a good day, they are utterly fantastic. If one of them is having a bit of an off time, like Feast was last match, then all bets are off, basically.
Absolutely. And just talking about bad days, because you're both talking about your stream. Guys, better today than tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but tomorrow is not our responsibility.
True.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Nah, thanks then. No, all in all, I mean, better to have these issues now than later, and at least they're now sorted, so it should all work fine. I think it's actually the fact that the YouTube chat is so busy that my laptop is having some issues with it.
And I'm also quite distracted by the YouTube chat here because my Discord. If you're in my Discord server and you click into the chat channel, oh boy.
I'm not gonna do that now, obviously, but yeah.
Obviously, no. It was a huge, a lots of influx of messages from the disgruntled ARWV guys. So, I heard that it's fixed for now, so we'll see if it's going to be the case.
Fingers crossed for them as well. But at least there's something to be said about people having technical issues everywhere rather than just one place.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, for now, it's like...
it's better.
Yeah.
I do apologize.
I'm glad it's fixed here. I'm glad I can actually hear you on Discord now, and all of that is working fine. These are basically the nightmares you get as a streamer. I really hadn't thought about the fact that I would be that the whole camera issue, that I would be blocking the minimap. I had no idea. This kind of stuff shows like I don't play on PC, so I'm not used to the minimap being in that specific spot, which is basically, it's no excuse, but it is a reason. And it's basically continuously stuff like that.
True.
Oh my god.
I did have a test with Eminet and Fujits before about trying to share my live feed over to Fujit, but it was working at the time, so I don't know what happened today. And also Discord acting up is something that I don't want to see during the streams, and also that was the main problem. And me kind of, because I was so busy behind the scenes, I forgot to change like transitions and so on. Luckily my scenes aren't covering the entirety of the battle, so it's fine.
In the meantime, my game just crashed again, so that's very hopeful. I'm actually going to close my browser. That means that I leave the chat in your capable hands, Fujit, because I won't be able to watch it. Because I can't, I want to have it open. I'll see what I can do if I try and follow it a little bit on my phone, but that won't be nearly as good.
No, it's fine, guys. It's fine. I can see the portal, I can see the games. It's not a problem. Don't worry.
There we go.
I'm going to hear what you're saying as well, which is perfect.
That's the most important part. As long as the stream is fine, I'm all good. So I trust you to come onto voice if anything is wrong, by the way, Fujit, because I won't be able to see it in YouTube anymore.
Yeah, will the room be up in around a minute or two? We'll see. But let's actually track. I think it's going to say. Oh, it's going to start in 11 minutes according to the in-game.
That could be. This is basically the schedule that we got from Wargaming about how this all works is quite different to how it actually is working. So that's not really helpful, I'm not going to lie.
Not really helpful. I do remember back in the BlitzCon preliminaries, it started like 6 minutes early than the written time.
Don't forget, I mean,
that's not helpful.
That game should have lasted a little bit longer. It's best of 5, and GV got there quite quickly.
It was 3-1. It was like we'd have one match, and regardless of how many games it would take, we would have 5 minutes break, and then the next match would start. We've now been talking for about 15 minutes.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, that's true.
But honestly, I don't mind. I mean, this is basically what I've been telling you two about the official streams and everything. You need to like basically prepare for anything that can happen.
Yes.
In this case, we fixed Discord and we fixed I fixed the camera blocking the minimap again. Sorry, guys. And
I do
it's
apologize
stuff like
profusely.
that.
True, I apologize profusely about that. But meanwhile, while you're waiting, analysis. I think my analysis have gone haywire a bit.
But that was always going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, you can analyze what the teams were based on their past experiences.
Yeah.
So Feast were very, very dominant in the pre-qualifications for this tour.
Yeah.
That there's been a break. That the clans have got round. They've changed their strats. There's nerves that kick in and come into play, unlike in the pre-quals. And you know, all these things come into effect. GV just seemed to have a better mindset today. They had a better game plan. That
They
doesn't mean
had
to say
the
that.
focus fire.
Correct.
This is something I've talked to Maddox about in the past. Basically, to win Asia for server, you need to get the focus fire right, because I've said this before, and I don't mean this in a bad way about Asia server, but tournament-wise, they're always a little bit behind compared to the other servers. It is a smaller server. It is very hard for them to find training partners to actually hone those skills. So they're lacking a little bit in that regard, which makes it harder to actually get to like the top as you get in EU and RU especially. And basically, previous seasons, getting that focus fire right made all the difference, and that allowed people to actually go into basically the final stages. And that's a little bit different now because more teams are doing that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, two of the big takeaways I got from the first two games on Black Goldville, if you watch GV and how they move as a pack, because they had better mobility, Feast, if you look at Feast positioning, that it's not that they've done anything wrong. They've done good positioning, trying to control the middle of the map. In the first game, they sent Jackie Mark way out to the sea cap as a sacrificial lamb, rotated back round into their spawn, tried to control the map from there, but GV en masse pushed down onto the isolated tank of Jackie Mark. That allowed Feast to push in, but because of their lack of mobility, GV took out Jackie Mark, were able to rotate a lot quicker and react a lot quicker than Feast were able to. That doesn't mean to say Feast did anything wrong. If you look at the final hit, I mean, the hit points, I mean, there are a lot of low hit point tanks out there that on the JV side. But the difference being, as you quite rightly say, I mean, GV, their focus fire was a lot more coordinated, to be honest with you. And that became apparent in the second game as well. The third game, Feast were much better. That was much more the Feast that we know and love. They dominated that game. They dominated that lineup. They were able to do what you know. Absolutely, they were able to basically control it. Their focus fire was better. Their determination was better, and they really took GV to the wire there. And I expected that to roll into the second game, but GV just came up another notch.
Some trolls, by the way, currently inviting me to rooms with very questionable names.
Nice.
Honestly, sometimes I wonder about the age of the people in this game.
Right.
But I mean, it's not all over. I mean, the thing is, it's not all over for Feast. Yes, they're in the lower bracket now, but they need to focus. They need to coordinate themselves, go away, dust themselves off, and bring their frustration into the next games. They're in the lower bracket. That doesn't preclude them from getting to the grand final tomorrow. Very
true. They can still make it. This is the pro of a double elimination. You're only in trouble if you lose twice in a row. That's the only thing. So you get basically not like a free card, but you get a pass of some sorts.
Absolutely. They've just got to dust themselves off, put it behind them, and come back to and just get around as a team and bang each other's heads together and come out fighting, basically. That's all they've got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That people were expecting an interview for some reason.
No,
That's-
that happens tomorrow. Wargaming
That happens
is doing
tomorrow, yeah.
stuff tomorrow with analyzers, and they are interviewing team captains and all of that. Today, because we still have to host everything ourselves, you don't get that, but you get footage instead.
Yeah, apparently Methody got much worse stream issues than we both of us do.
Ooh, room is up.
Rumors up. So we're now on HLV versus Team ID. First of all, we're back in Black Goldville. Again, a map that favors medium lineup a lot. But that didn't really work for Feast. Would that work for a medium lineup this time? ID, they really love heavies, and you can see right now they are now taking double E100s and triple E5s.
But the E5s don't really count as heavies these days with the consumables that they have. They're now taking 4 E5s. Oh no, sorry, still 3. They're still changing things around. Calling lineups is actually still useless.
Yes.
But overall, if you
They like-
take enough E5s, they can work as mediums. It's a heavium for a reason, even though it's more of a heavy than it used to be when it still had its cupola and it actually still liked it. But now, with the consumables that it has, it can move around very quickly, but you do have the true armor, and it has decent amount of reload and all of that.
Right, so let's actually just transition back to the screen. Meanwhile, we have HLV going with Boa Sorte, 7010, Blue Planet, and Joyceluki, Ryota, and Sarutsu. Left behind is ready in the queue. We haven't seen a lot in action for Ryota. If I remember correctly, the appearances, I think Ryota only appeared less than 10 times. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be working with that team.
Definitely. But that's the thing. This is for me. I always say the same thing, that it's going to be interesting, because that's like kind of like my stop sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that it really is going to be, because as I always say, this is the pinnacle of Blitz gaming, basically. This is what happens when you get the best teams of the server together. They coordinate together, they communicate together, and that just makes for generally really beautiful gameplay.
True. And now we're going to see Team ID with their signature triple E100s. We saw that a lot in the Blitz Cup preliminaries. They really love their E100s, and so far they are the only team to use like more than 30 times of E100. That's quite a lot, really. And but it works for them. So because they have really good skills, and because if you have good skills, the accuracy doesn't matter a lot too much.
Hmm.
So, and it has really good alpha. That one shell, like 640 alpha. If you get shot by E100, you wouldn't be happy at all. You would be very salty about that.
But that's the thing, though, with the of course, I prefer more mobile lineups, like not really using the super heavies and all of that. But
Right.
if you're really good in a tank, it can work for you, even though the E100 is a tank that doesn't get used in touring is at this level all that often.
No.
The fact that they're confident enough to take 3 of them now, that is saying something, and they're really good at it.
Yes. But don't let that lineup fool you, Team ID. They have the lowest average battle duration in terms of a winning battle, and they can do really aggressively with a heavy setup. Don't think that they're going to be sitting very far back in the map, so we're going to see how Team ID is going to make use of that.
You've watched them this season. Do they also
Yes.
HE a lot? Because that would explain the low battle time that they generally get.
Actually a lot. No, they just kind of make that push very early on in the game. Although it's like, yeah, very early on in the game, finding the weakness of the enemies, focus fire, and boom, they really want that.
So basically just very aggressive gameplay with very big tanks.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at their lineup right now, they have the E5s and they are heaviums, but they have no fast tanks whatsoever.
No. How are they going to spot up the tanks? We're going to see. It's going to be interesting.
If you're going to push straight away, you don't need a spotter.
Well, you still want the spotter to find out where the enemies might not be positioned well, or the weakness of the enemy. So you do want that information. So without that spotting tank, would that be a downfall for Team ID? We're going to see. But HLV equally. They can punish Team ID. They're known for punishing clans who have been very careless. So let's see.
Sorry to interrupt you, but call out the lineup from HLV. We haven't said it yet.
Oh, sorry, but we're salty. In the IS4 alongside Blue Planet, Ryota in the E5, Sarutsu the T20 from Abyss in the Vickers Light, Enjoy Solo Queue in the mouse, and finally, I forgot. Yes, T22 by, well, I call it Enjoy Solo Queue in the mouse. Yeah, I got it. I think I got it. 7-7 in the E5.
Yeah,
yes.
you got it.
Oh my
But
god.
basically, with the lineup like this, I would say HLV has the advantage. But knowing what you just told me about ID and the way that they push together and go basically very aggressive together, it's not so certain.
Nope, it is not. Apologies, I forgot to change something on the stream. So, what do you think about this setup here?
Setup? You mean where they're going, or
Where they're going, and yeah, now we're seeing like HLV going for mostly to A, and Team ID also going mostly to A. What do you think about this kind of move from both teams?
I think it's going to be interesting because basically Saruso has the advantage of spotting them a lot earlier.
Yep.
So they're gonna know where they are. He loses some HP immediately, and a little bit more, but he is still alive, and he might just survive it. We have Bliorica, basically raping that name, sorry for that. But he is now capping base A, and he's the only one to cap a base right now.
Yes, meanwhile, HLV just going straight into a rotation move, but they are going to get C, but it is going to be Team ID who has to cap at the start. But will Team ID sit back and defend? We'll see in this one, but they're just going very aggressively now. You're looking at Campen going very... oh, I have to kind of click on that name. Just looking at the rest of the forces of HLV close to the spawn, it's going to be interesting.
ID now taking up positions to basically make a push, but we have the IS force from HLV basically spotting them up. They are in a tricky position because ID can't really push where they want to push. At the same time, they're occupying HLV completely, and Joy Solo is being occupied by Lani at the back there, and he can't move in to go and get a camp. So basically, if ID keeps it locked down like this, I would hand it to them to get the game, especially since they have the point advantage.
Ooh, Campen took a really big hit from Sarutsu, a double tap from Sarutsu, and maybe from the Abyss. Oh, Team ID, they need to be careful. HLV are really doing the punishment here.
Basically, that just goes against what I literally just said, because the thing is that if ID is too aggressive and HLV plays very patiently, that also works against ID.
Yeah, and that is what is very good about HLV. They are very patient. They are able to punish tanks who are careless, and we saw that with Campen, and now Porielica as well.
Poor
Sarutsu! Poor Sarutsu, what the heck happened to him? And he's now down to one shot.
He has to be very careful if he wants to stay alive, because HLV cannot afford to lose a gun here.
Oh, for Abyss! Oh, got E100, I believe, isn't it? Oh, it's a double tap from Borealic and Activity, but both teams are dropping hit points with Team ID having the hit point advantage and also the cap point advantage.
Blue Planet now pushing in, wanted to go after Plo here, but he's basically now getting very massacred for it. ID is not really focus firing, but they're going after every single tank that they can.
Yeah, and now, I mean, this is getting a little bit ugly now. Blue Planet is going to be the one kill, and there's so many low hit point targets for HLV. Ryota is dead, Porielica is dead.
And basically, none of them are looking too healthy, but we are at 705 points for ID, a little bit less now. It is still very close, especially when they're pushing this aggressively. This is what I mean with them not being careful enough.
Campen missed the shot onto from Abyss, and he is killed by IDS. But Sarutsu needs to be killed. He cannot stay alive for too long. HLV are doing what they could, absolutely could to bring it back to their favor. And now hit points up neck and neck now. This is going to be
missing
close.
That shot can prove to be a vital miss here. He is
Sarutsu is
angling
not
himself.
down. Sarutsu is still alive for some reason, and he's going to farm Landy if he's not dead.
No,
Radioactive is dead.
Radioactive first. But
Yes.
basically, this is going to be HLV's game. purely by the fact that they're letting the people survive for too long. They're focusing on the high HP targets rather than the low HP targets. I don't get it.
No, especially Sarutsu. That tank needs to be killed. I mean, he is a medium. He can run around. And now HLV with a cap lead, and it does kind of surprise me how ID threw away a substantial hit point pool lead.
So still alive, and now we have HLV going into base A, which is a very clever move, because even if Saruso is killed then, which just happened, they should be able to get the game. Because the tanks will take too long to get anywhere, they won't be able to get base C, they might go after base A, but as long as Boa Sorta and 7710 just survive, then HLV has this game, and that is very clever gameplay. Very
clever. I mean, Team ID, they need the kills. I mean, this is what they're going for right now. Boa Sorte might be trapped, but will they have enough time? It's now 945 cap points for HLV.
He will
they
likely
have very little time.
But we have the E5 safely in the caves. All he has to do is hide. They don't know exactly where he is. He has been spotted. The E100 has been spotted. But as long as 7710 just stays where he is, he will win it. He is putting back behind that pillar just in time, and it is beautiful.
990.
I love a game like this.
990. Yes, 995.
He gets it. He gets it.
He gets it by the skin of his teeth. Really.
That is fantastic. These are the games I do it for. It looked to be going so differently in the beginning of the game, but basically, they were just... ID was too aggressive here.
I would, well, I think it could be a case, but I think what I'm more surprised is that Team ID, the focus fire, was quite off. Especially when they didn't kill Sarutsu. I think that was the moment where they lost the game.
Yes.
Because he was able to kill some games.
Sorry, that and a few of the E100s missed some very vital shots, and that basically kept a lot of damage from not being done, basically.
And HLV being HLV, punishing.
Yeah, exactly what you said, yeah.
Yes. And I mean, both teams have like 5 tanks more than 2k, but HLV with the punishing maneuver at the start, and ID not focusing fire, that made the difference for HLV. And we're back on Black Oakville. Team ID obviously dropping that triple E100 strat, obviously not working for a map like Black Oakville where it favors medium or light setup. In fact, it has the lowest weighted score if you see my analysis for Black Oakville. So we're going to see what's going to be done here. Now Team ID going with double 50Bs. That's going to give them much needed mobility.
Mobility, yes, but it also gives them the weakness, because Clippers always have that as a weakness. But they have a team that are with 2 E5s, 2 IS4s, and a Vickers versus 2 IS4s, 1 E5, a Mouse, a Vickers, another E5, sorry, and a T22. So that it can still go every which way. But in this case, I think it's very smart for ID to change their lineup just about completely in order to get a very different, the sort of synchronization in the team. Let's go with that.
True, and we're back, and let's see about their lineup again. This time, Team ID on the south side, HLV on the north side, Blue Planet playing the Ice 4 alongside Boa Sorte and Joyce looking the Mouse, Sarutsu the T22, and we have the double E5s played by 701 Ryota from the base in the Vickers Light. Meanwhile,
I did just call the lineup before we went into the game.
Sorry, I was not concentrating. I apologize profusely for that.
No worries.
But HLV will be going for both A and B. Once again, Team ID this time going a bit more to the factory side. In fact, this is the general direction where the 50Bs are going.
We have Vickers and Vickers going to spot each other. But they're not actually spotting each other, they are spotting some of the team though. Base A being capped quite early, which is a good move, because even if the AMX I should say, is going for base C, that means HLV will have a bit of a point advantage and an early base cap. So that is definitely helpful for them.
Yep, so Sarutsu got A, which is really good from him. Again, that put HLV in the cap advantage. Is it again? I forgot about the last game. Is it HLV getting cap advantage or ID? I believe it's ID. If I remember correctly, but I just can't recall. Oh, some blind fire happening from ID, yes, but it went into the sky, and the sky is going to fall by that shot.
And now we have Enjoy Solo, who has been spotted. This is basically a position. I know that you can't leave it unprotected, but I really dislike this position. He is using the building far in front of him to sort of side scrape from, though, and I do like that. That was a blind shot in the AMX-50B, wasn't it?
I don't know. I
He wasn't
believe
spotted,
that.
Campon.
Interesting call. I don't know what's going on in their voice chat at the moment, knowing that he got blind fired. But HLV stacking up on A. I mean, this is going to be a stale game at the moment, and Enjoy Solo Q just in that kind of spawn in the lone mouse, defending a potential rush from C. How is ID going to rotate from this? This is going to be tough because HLV put really good positions in with really good tanks.
Some shots going into Lani right now. Blue Planet dropping into base A. The thing is, Plo is pretty much alone there, and he's now getting pincered, so he has to be careful. At the same time, we have a not necessarily a push on the mouse happening, but ID is smelling, I think, that the mouse is alone. Especially
but
with almost everyone being spotted now.
But they don't know where he is. He's not spotted yet. The blue player is getting a bit
He is
hit,
spotted.
though.
Mouse has been spotted a few times,
Now,
so they
yes.
know where he's at.
Oh, really? Didn't take notice of that, but blue player got a bit careless again. And hit point's still neck and neck. HLV with a slight advantage, but that could swing to ID's favor. And now you can see the difference is less than 100, so it could go either way.
We have Enjoy Solo moving into base B, but he's being vigorous in the bum. We have Campon moving into the middle, missing or bouncing that shot, and now reloading his clip.
And I think ID will be gradually getting the control over here because we are seeing those triple HLV tanks, double E5s and T22. I think they might be a little bit exposed here, but no, they're going straight in. They're going to surround the forces of T-By. This is going to descend into anarchy here. Game is dropping the active armor.
This is a weird push by ID because there's so many tanks behind them. They can get shot in all their weak sides. Gaian is the first one gone. Saruso is not looking too healthy, but he is keeping them away a little bit. And they're going to go after... Oh, there he goes. Blue Planet is gone. Saruso is still alive. Don't know how.
Don't know how, but Radioactive has now come in, but hit points are in favor of HLV by more than 2k of hit points. And they have 2 caps as well. This game would go to HLV, I would say.
Base A is being contested though, and Boa Sorta is almost gone. They are basically lacking in tanks, but Lani is also almost gone. We have the Vickers arriving, bouncing on the IS-4 though, which can be very difficult, a very big problem. But now that one definitely bends. And now it is 4 versus 2. We are 960 point, even with just one base. This is HLV's game again.
Again, I mean. Well, I mean, we can talk about the big problem of Team ID. They were pushing on 2 fronts. They were pushing on not 2 fronts. They're pushing into 2 groups. In fact, they can push into 1 group, and they really didn't commit to that. And still going on for some reason. And finally, there we go. IDS.
That's because one of HLV died, so the point dropped. So they had to kill another one.
I see.
In order to take it home. But this was again. It was both these games have been relatively close. I do kind of like that.
Yep. But HLV has already warmed up, but not really Team ID. Team ID didn't really look like Team ID to me, because if it were the Team ID team we're talking about in Blitz preliminaries, they will have gone straight into it with 1 group into 1 single group. But we are seeing right now Team ID separating into 2 squads, dealing with 2 squads of HLV with similar number of tanks. So in the end, if they had consolidated into 1 single group and push 1 of the groups of HLV, I think Team ID would have fared a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's sort of like they found themselves in an alien map. They seemed a bit. I always talk about the way that teams synchronize. If a team synchronizes well, they generally just basically win, because then they work so well together that it just works out beautifully. And I missed that with ID this time. They didn't sync up together.
Nope, they didn't. And Team ID just lost the plot now. quintuple 1-3s. I think they had lost the plot now because now my ruins is a map that is so heavy.
There we go.
A lot of mouses. I mean, my ruins is the only map out of the 6 maps we're going to see today that has the 2 most used tanks, not T110E5 and IS4. The second most used tank on my ruins is Mouse for the Asia server.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because it does allow for super heavies to be used. At the same time, I find this lineup from ID very interesting with all those 113s. They have
Very
the
interesting.
DPM, but they do not have the armor.
No, especially with a map like my ruins where you want armor. Would that be a make or break for Team ID? We will see.
It can work out both ways because if you put it tank for tank, I would think that DPM wise and mobility wise, ID has the better lineup, but armor wise and clipper wise, HLV has it. So that can be very interesting to see. But again, it is potential match point for HLV. So basically, ID has to win 3 in a row in order to stay in the upper bracket.
I mean, we're seeing HLV on the south side with a double 50Bs. That's kind of the lineup they really like back in the Blitz preliminaries, and they can work it really well. So, especially on a map like Mine Ruins, they are known for that.
And now we have base C being kept and not being defended at all. We have ID pushing into the middle, but not quite going. Oof! Seriously, I got stuck against the building there.
In a map like Mine Ruins, did you get stuck on the temple?
I did. Like one of the broken pieces, it literally did not let me fly back out. It's fixed now, though.
You've been summoned by the gods of the Maya civilization.
Exactly. What was
and
it?
you're not allowed to leave.
I always forget. I know a volcano there, but basically the god names there are just insane. IDS.
Yeah, IDS
going
goes straight
I
to
think
what? Crash.
He's not AFK. I mean, it wasn't ping issues. I think he just wanted to go there.
Maybe it looked like ping issue to me, but now ID going straight in. They're going to focus the mouse, or is it not the case? Because HLV they put a mouse for a reason.
What is he doing? He's going to die so hard here, but they are pushing the mouse and they are pushing the IS4. Basically, ID is playing it very aggressively, but I've no idea what IDS was doing at base B there.
No, I think they have lost the plot. I think they have lost the plot entirely.
They're going now after the AMXs, which is a good idea, but Campon has also been taken out. Linked is almost gone.
True, and Link is almost dropping in reactive armor. Would that be too late here? And it's going to be too late.
Yes. Now we have HLV coming around. Ryota is almost gone. And then we have Suez and all of that. But basically, this was ID losing it. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, throwing away that game. Really, I don't know what's going on here. It looks surreal. If they had
moved more together, it started with that move from IDS in the middle of the map. It was weird.
It was really weird, and Radioactive is down, and but was also hit the dirt. Not good for the animals down there, but
there goes Plo.
Floriaca is dead. And
now
it's going to be 5
versus 2. Nani and active duty left.
True, and Lanny puts a good shout to enjoy solo queue, but ID at this point is just very tilted. Like,
basically, we have a similar situation that we had with in one of the training battles yesterday, where only the mouse was left. Oh my god, he's being.
Wait, are we allowed to talk about that though?
Not very specifically. I mean, it was training, so it was nothing serious.
Yeah, it was training. I mean, very good that these teams invited us. Well, to spectate them. So
this was weird, though.
Yes.
It was really weird.
Really weird. I have no idea. I don't know if it's because Team ID just want to wrap it up, or they just completely tilted. I don't know, because
I think the start of the plan was legit, like sort of make a roundabout push and then pushing together.
Yes.
Or IDS going straight into the middle, which did not work. Then we had Campon losing a lot of HP very quickly.
Yes.
And it didn't work out. It could have worked out if they had moved a bit more as a
could have. it could have worked out if they have someone to spot for them, because they're just kind of blind rushing. That's what I would say here, because they're just like they don't have a light trying to spot for them. So it's like we're going to do that. We're going to gamble, but that gamble didn't pay off for them.
So now we have another match instead of 5 minutes, in half an hour.
Oh my goodness me.
Oh, but once the match is over on the stream, they still need to see the whole last match. But then Fidget
Yes.
can join us again and
Hello, Fidget.
share his mind with us after that match, though, because we still have plenty of time, so we can talk a bit amongst ourselves before then. I'm actually staying in the tournament tab to avoid all the strange pop-ups from friend requests and training rooms and all of that. I just got a room invite for what a nice stream this is, but that was the most polite one that I've seen so far.
Okay, now the Russian people have backed away.
Okay,
now-
that's good.
That's fine. That means it's working fine.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, someone say hell yeah! People using more than 3, but well, I was not expecting that. I was expecting Feast and ID to go straight into upper bracket finals, since we're now seeing GV and HLV doing that,
I
which
quite
surprised
like
me a
that
lot.
because JV really deserved it today.
Yes,
They've played absolutely brilliantly, and
HLV even
with
more.
HLV,
Even more. I would
I
say
think
even more.
it's a little bit more. That last match, that was, I can't say it's thrown, but it's kind of thrown.
It's kind of
They
throw.
they didn't
yeah.
focus. They didn't try, in my opinion. They just went like,
Yeah.
let's go YOLO and get blown up.
Yes.
The potential was there. I mean, you could see what they were going for, but at
Right.
some point there was some miscommunication, and then it all went to hell.
Yes, and well, that's all the best. But Feast versus ID in the lower bracket semi-finals, not what I would expect. Actually, what about you, Fujit? What do you think about the games? Well, I mean,
You still watching the last game, hun?
Yes, I know. Yes,
So
I will not
don't
disturb
ask
you
me
for
questions yet. I'll give you a heads up when the last game is over on stream, because I actually have it playing on my iPad, because
Oh,
I
that's
want the keys as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. I didn't do it on my iPad because I have my iPad looking at the chat, whereas reading the chat. So
I have my chat on my phone, then I have my PC just for the stream itself, and then I have the reward stream playing on my iPad, because why not?
yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit much. Normally, I have to chat on my laptop, but because it's so busy, it was having some issues, so I just closed the browser altogether. Figured that would be safer.
Yeah, I mean, I generally would not kind of have a stream open in with the same network, because for my home, my upload speed is actually kind of limiting. It's like around
Okay.
9 megabytes per second, so
That's
If-
not a lot.
not a lot. So if I open another stream, well, I mean, usually the stream it's using the download bandwidth instead of the upload bandwidth. But you don't want to kind of like overburden the Wi-Fi, so that's why I kind of like only did not have any of the streams open.
I have my phone is playing on 4G, so that's the chat is fine. That doesn't on my Wi-Fi. My iPad does use the Wi-Fi, but I have my laptop directly plugged into the modem, so that bypasses that, and the internet through the cable is just way better.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of people are recommending streaming through an Ethernet cable. Unfortunately, I don't have that router of that plugin in my room. If that was the case, I would have used the Ethernet cable, which would allow for a much smoother experience for the streaming. But alas, I don't have
think
that.
that's like pretty much the only pro of living in a tiny studio. Everything is in one room.
Yes, and the pro of living alone, obviously.
Yeah, that helps as well. And I
Yeah.
pay a little bit extra for faster internet, which wasn't like when I got it. It wasn't even streaming, so it wasn't
Oh.
aimed at that. But I'm glad I have it. I'm a bit of an tech junkie in that regard. I game and I I do online things and I watch Netflix. Well, Netflix is not like hardcore, but but basically, I wanted to make sure that I had good internet, so I happily pay a little bit extra for that. In the meantime, Fujit, the match is now over. You can join us.
Yeah, wow, what can I say? Going back to the first game on Black Goldville, let's deal with that one first, because, I mean, a couple of things from that. Firstly, I was really shocked and surprised with the meta lineup by ID. 3 E100s.
I mean, it's kind of the lineup they always go for. They go for a lot during the Blitz Cup preliminaries, to be honest with you.
I understand that, but then you look at HLV. I mean, HLV had a good mix of meta. They had a lot more mobility. 3 E100s is, well, I mean, 2 E100s I could understand, but the 3...
It's a big risk.
It's a huge risk, and it really, really didn't help them. ID from the off, from what I could see, they pushed aggressively towards that A cap. HLV had good defensive positions. They sort of taken very good positions, expecting something to come round that flank. ID failed to deal with Saruzu. And that's an important point. That T22 farmed over 3.3 damage. And he was like a one-shot for a majority of the game. That should never have happened. Allowing him to escape and to farm that much damage really did alter the meta and the matrix of the game. ID, I mean, I keep going back, the 3-100s just didn't work. At the end there, credit goes to 7-7-10 for really clever and sensible play. He clearly had an eye on the countdown. He knew that an E100 is not going to be able to chase him down into those caves. They weren't going to get the caps in time. That is unbelievably clever play, and he played it perfectly. They lost Boa Sorte. That was a sacrifice, I think. I think Boa Sorte did that on purpose.
If he had run to the caves, they would have known where the E5 was.
Absolutely. And I think that alone is just fantastic. It was a close game, don't get me wrong. But the lack of mobility with the E100 at the end, he was just never going to get there in time. But it was, I have to say, it was the better of the 3 games of ID.
Very true.
When I go to the second game confused me slightly. Double 50Bs is a normal meta tactic, I get that. But they were totally ineffective in this match. They took them out to the C cap. Now, first and foremost, the Vickers of HLV spotted almost everybody on ID's team immediately. ID had nothing to hide. HLV knew exactly where their tanks were going, which is why, if you notice, they rotated everybody to the middle in the A cap. The 50Bs are therefore completely ineffective. They're not doing anything. That resulted in Campon, in one of the 50Bs, having to rotate round when HLV started a push on one of the E5s. He rotated round, but the problem was he only did 700 damage. That's not an effective use of a 50B, especially when there's 2 of them. They're meant to be together realistically.
Because together they can clip a tank completely.
Absolutely. So again, it was really sensible play by HLV. ID also had a Vickers, but their Vickers didn't spot up hardly anybody until midway through the match. By then it was too late. HLV knew exactly what ID were doing, and they were just able to pick them off again. Again, it was close to the wire, this match. It was a tight game, but HLV just played it a lot more coordinated. There were disjointed pushes and attacks by ID. Their focus fire was just not there. They just seemed to be pointing their guns at whatever tank happened to be in front of them, which didn't help them. And again, if you look at the end of the match, there's a lot of low HP tanks on the HLV side. But credit again to HLV, they played a sensible game. They used that Vickers to maximum effect, and that really changed the gameplay for them. Coming into the third game,
sorry.
I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. First and foremost, ID went completely contrary to what we saw in the last two games. They weren't heavy at all. They were more mobile, 3 113s, and they brought in also an IS-7. And it's the IS-7 I want to look at first. I don't know if there was an issue, communication-wise, a misunderstanding.
It looks like a ping issue
No.
to me.
I think it wasn't. I think it was a conscious move because he moved straight on in and then turned around straight away. So it wasn't ping.
I put it down to a communication issue because he rushed that B cap and got into a world of pain. And because he got into a world of pain, he had to rely on the E5 of the other tanks, especially like Campon, to try and come in and help him out. By then, HLV were aware what was going on, and Campon went down very quickly. The IS-7 went down very quickly. They're losing tanks very quickly all of a sudden. HLV are able to basically regroup, and it was a very strange push then by ID, and it seemed like a panic push. It seemed like they had a plan, and it went out the window with what the IS-7 did. And their plan collapsed, and then it seemed to be a panic mode, and they seemed to just push uncoordinated into the center, allowing HLV to just bleed them as they came across. And
that's where it all went wrong. It was just so uncoordinated.
It confused me because that is not what I've seen ID do. I've never seen them play like that before. It's a big stage. I get that. I understand that. There's going to be nerves. There's going to be.
Yeah, but they've been to an
things.
offline. They know this.
Well, that was 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but still.
Absolutely. But it was a very strange game. And I know when you're commentating, you're saying, it looks like they've given up or whatever. I don't think they had. I think it was just a panic reaction to two tanks very quickly. And they thought, we've got to do something. We've lost 2 tanks. We've got to get this back. So they just did a very uncoordinated and disjointed push, which just played straight into HLV's hands. And of course, as you both said, they left the mouse till last. And why not? Yeah. You've got 113s there, easy targets, all rushing in through the center. HLV are now coordinated, anticipating this, and they were just able to just pick them off. Very bizarre game from ID. And all I can say is I don't know. I'd hate to say that it was a big mistake by the IS-7. I don't know. It could be a communication issue. But there was a very strange move by the IS-7 to begin with. Knowing that, as soon as he went in, HLV reacted very quickly, which kicked ID into counter-reacting, but it really, really was to their detriment. So really well played by HLV, all 3 games.
With that last game, with ID, like those cartoons where you get like the villagers running around and screaming when everything's on fire? That's the mental image I got by with that last game by ID. It started with a bit of miscommunication, and after that it all went to hell.
Well, not being funny, my notes actually say, not what I expected, seemed to be running around like headless chickens.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that's nothing against them. I mean, we saw Feast is not having the best of days either. So
absolutely,
both of them need to click.
But I really do believe that HLV were close in the first game, and they'll be disappointed with that. They were not coordinated as much in the second game. To be perfectly honest with you, I thought the 50B should have reacted better. They stayed at the C-cap far too long, and then Campon had to come in, and he got wrecked very quickly. He got focused by HLV. He only did 700 damage, which totally, don't get me wrong, the other 50B did a lot of damage, but it's irrelevant when you've got 2 of them, because the 2 of them are there for a reason. So the 50Bs were totally ineffective in that game. And then the third game, I think they were just in panic mode. As I said, I think they had a plan, that their plan went out the window, and they just overreacted. It's simple as that. Very bizarre games, but credit where credit's due. Very sensible and clever gameplay by HL.
For me,
and that's the big thing.
The retreating into the caves is pretty much one of my favorite game moments this season. Because I love clever gameplay that.
I heard you when you commentated it. I didn't see it at that stage, But I still believe that whilst what 7710 did there, running into the caves, was a genius move, I do firmly believe what Boa Sorte did was on purpose. I think that Boa Sorte going down, knowing the IS-4 was going to be there to get killed, was done on purpose. I think that's a really clever move.
They had to, because if the IS-4 had attempted to go to the caves, like we said before, he would have they would have known that the E5 was there.
Absolutely.
By going back, it would have been a lot more likely for the E5 to be elsewhere.
Absolutely.
The tricky part was that 7710 hadn't pulled back enough yet to not spot the E100 as he went into base A. So that gave a bit of a clue, but they didn't see him.
No. But I mean, Boa Sorte knew he was a one shot, and I mean that is just great teamwork. Boa Sorte sacrificing himself so 7710 could get into cover and just run the clock down. I mean, that's just genius gameplay, and I don't care what anybody says. That for me at the moment is the best gameplay I've seen in this tournament. It was,
absolutely.
It was fantastic, fantastic to watch.
I love it. It's the same thing. We've had it. My memory is absolute shit, so I can't remember which teams that was. But it was at some point one of those things where two people move into two caps at the same time, and it's never their intention to get both caps, but it forces the reaction from the enemy, basically, and that allows them to get one base and to absorb the push on the other side. And it won them the game as well. But moves like that, I just love it.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, for me, I mean, when you get to this level of the game, because these guys are pros, I mean, when you get to this level, it's those little moves that we really take for granted. That was just genius play by HLV, and it won them the match. And that is what I expect to see at this level, that sort of gameplay, where they're working coordinated as a team, and they're doing everything to win. That is it was just a genius move. And that, as I said, that for me is the gameplay so far of this tournament.
Yeah. Based on the matches that we've seen today, I'm actually like, my heart will always be with Feast because I've met most of the guys in real life and they're just bloody fantastic. But I'm kind of hoping for a GV HLV finals because we get to see that matchup. But based on the gameplay today, they were both so clever, so good. It's going to be fantastic to watch.
Absolutely, which is why I said before that it's so difficult to call this. Go back to the Previous Skill Ascent tournament, whichever you want to call it, followed by the prequels. This is not the team ID that you would have seen in those qualifiers. Okay, they were not as coordinated. They were very disjointed, and they were very slow to react. And ID, please don't take this the wrong way, but it seemed like a quick tour to an extent in the way you play. No, seriously, where their focus fire wasn't on. I mean, in the first game, there were a lot of misses and a lot of bounces, especially from the E100s. And if you go back and look at that, those are costly at this level of gameplay.
Yes.
You can't afford to miss things like that. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to land those shots, especially when you've got big dirt guns like the E100. You can't afford to miss.
Exactly.
Like the worst accurate, the least accurate gun in tier 10 heavy, I believe.
And they had 3 of them.
Yeah.
But that's also just that alone. They had 3 of them. Basically, what you see with most teams, and I generally always use EU as an example because A, I've seen the most matches from them, and B, I know the teams best there. You generally, except for E5s, because that's a whole different part of the meta right now, and IS4s, you don't see people take more than 2 tanks of the same type. And there's a reason for that, because you take all the strengths with you, but you also take all the weaknesses with you.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing. I mean, okay, on the EU side in the prequels, I saw teams like Souls taking 3 Crown Wagons, only because it was a novelty. But you're right. I don't see teams at this level, at this sort of tournament, taking 3 U100s. It's just, I've never seen it.
You don't see 3 Clippers. You don't see 3 E100s, not 3 Mice. basically all the exception tanks, you don't see more than 2 of them max. Even with the Kranwagen as well.
T22 as well, I would say, even go as far with that.
Generally same, yes, but T22, it can happen. We have seen it before.
Yeah.
The thing is that with mediums, you can take that risk a little bit more because they have the mobility to move around a lot and play different functions.
100%.
Whereas the super heavies and the clippers generally have specific functions, so they can't sort of like switch around to play another role. The
Yeah.
T22 can. Same with the E5s and the IS4s. That's why you
Yeah.
see more of those.
Yep.
I understand why some, with the meta, I understand why some teams may want to take an E100. But the thing is, it's got 600 coming out if you land the shot by end alpha, but it's got a very long reload. This is why you see a lot of the teams taking E5s and IS4s because of their reload
And the armor.
And the armor. And then, with the E100, okay, you're loading the premium ammunition, which is heat. But as you saw in the first game, there's a lot of bounces and there's a lot of misses. It's a long aim time. It's not a great gun accuracy-wise. It's a big risk, as you said. 3 E100s is a huge risk. And it really didn't pay off for them. It's as simple as that. But going into the second game, it was like, yeah, okay, they learned that lesson. They're not taking those E100s again. They're taking a double clipper in the 50Bs. That's a normal meta. We see that a lot. And then they're ineffective. They put them to the back of the map. HLV had spotted everybody with very good use of their Vickers. They knew where they were. They avoided them, totally isolated them, put them out of the game. That meant Campon had to react, which he did in his 50B. And as I say again, 739 damage in a 50B is not good enough, guys. Not at this level. You've got to use that full clip. Simple.
Generally, when you're talking about how to win a game, the base rule is you can either play to your strengths or to your enemy's weakness.
Oh yes.
In this case, exactly what HLV did is they played to the enemy's weakness.
Yeah.
With that match with the AMXs, I mean, by avoiding them, basically you rendered those 2 tanks useless. And
absolutely, that's the thing.
That is why I love commentating tournaments. That is what I focus on when I make a video once in the blue moon and all of that. But I want to explain what is happening and why it is happening. Because when you enter a pub battle and you see that your team has like 1 light and 2 meds and the other team has 2 meds and 2 lights, or some form of combination like that, you know that your meds are going to be outnumbered wherever the med side is. So you can either decide to go with your meds and play against their strengths, or you can have your meds come with you to the other side and make your strength there. Because that means that you have the disadvantage in fast tanks, that means you generally have the advantage in firepower, even if the reload is long, and the armor. So that is something that I love seeing in a tournament like this, because HLV, they weren't so much playing their own tactic, they were reacting to what ID was doing.
Totally agree. Totally agree to that.
Yeah. I can totally agree with that. Like, HLV with those kind of 3 wins, they did really well in shutting down the ID's weaknesses, with the first game being the E100s being too slow to react. And I really loved that game. The first game, HLV versus Team ID, it was HLV getting the win by the caps via a very clever way. And not killing that T22 was a huge mistake, but you can't blame them for that, because Team ID, they have tanks which are very inaccurate and missing shots. It's somewhat to be expected. I was expecting Team ID, if they are very skilled players, they can afford to take triple U100s, but so far they haven't been showing us exactly that. So I'm a bit disappointed about that. And I did see Team ID working really well with U100s, something that it's also very upsetting in my opinion. And the second match, like I said, they didn't really rush with a single pack. They on one side they kind of rushed with 2 groups, and in the end they kind of rushed with 3 groups. They kind of rushed and rotated with 3 groups, and HLV are able to kind of shut one of the groups down. I mean, if you do the maths with the groups, like 3 groups, 7 tanks. Each group will contain only like 2 or 3 tanks. So for HLV, it will be easy for them to kind of focus down on one particular group and kind of finish off the game. So,
but
sorry.
No, carry on. I was just clearing my throat.
Right. I mean, had Team ID, I would say those double E5s and the T22, they are in a position that could potentially be exposed and isolated. If Team ID, I think there are 4 tanks or 5. If they all went for those tanks first instead of the tanks over to A, I wonder how things could pan out much differently here. And that's not to say the... Sorry.
That's why the second game... The most crucial play in that second game was what HLV's Vickers did.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and watch that game, he spots up almost the entire ID team immediately.
On the rush, you mean?
Yeah. He gets straight to that middle area and he spots almost the entire team. They know, HLV know where the 50Bs are then going. And if you watch them, they know this. They send all their tanks to the ACAP, almost all their tanks to the ACAP, allowing them to push onto that E5 that was up there and push through them. And that was, again, a very effective use of the Vickers. We know it's got a massive spotting range. They used it. They spotted everybody out. That allowed HLV to then dictate that map. And it really, as Amunet said, which is correct, it then made ID react. And that's the thing. HLV saw the gameplay, saw the positions HLV ID were in. They were able to position themselves nicely. That meant ID had no choice but to try and react to the weaknesses in HLV. But by then, HLV had bunkered down, which is why it got very bitty and it got into a brawl in the end as ID is swarming into the middle of the map.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to have to cut you off there, Fujit, because we just got a room invite.
No problem.
Yes,
Oh,
no problem.
Cheerio.
See you then.
30 minutes was longer than I expected.
It is really, but I mean, we've kind of discussed a lot, so we're now on video.
I like that though.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, cheerio.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. Bye.
I am kind of curious about this matchup though, because with these teams, neither of them having their day, so to speak.
No.
It can be very interesting. I can't call this. I mean, like I said, Feast always has a place in my heart, but in this case, I really don't know who's going to take it home.
It's all down to who can pick up the performance now, because it's going to be home for one of the teams now. If one of the teams lost, they won't be playing tomorrow. And
yeah, exactly. One of these teams is actually going to be knocked out today.
Yes, and with this kind of the map we're seeing Middleburg and then Faust and then Oasis Palms.
Oh, I love Faust.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun.
It's going to be interesting, but Middleburg and also Oasis Palms, these two maps favor pretty mobile setup. Would that favor Feast and would that not favor Team ID? We're going to find out really soon.
Look at this. Look at the lineup that ID is taking. I mean, also look at the lineup with quintuple IS4s from Feast, but still, look at the lineup ID is taking.
True, I mean, especially with double VK90.01p, this is a time we didn't see a lot in tournaments, but it has gained a lot of traction, a lot of popularity, and a batch, and a lot of popularity.
And the FE405.
Oh man, yes.
Oh my god, this lineup though. I have to say, FE405 is one of those things I either do epic in it, I get quite a few aces in it, but at the same time, if I don't get an ace, I get destroyed doing nearly 0 damage. So it either goes really well or really bad. I do absolutely love the tank though.
I mean, also look at the lineup of Team ID, how polarizing it is. You have four tanks, which is so heavily armored, and the gun is not really that good. And you have three other tanks with very, very poor armor. Now game change into the E5. This is going to be an interesting call for both Team ID and Feast.
Let's call it quirky.
Quirky, yeah. Don't be phased about the Sheridans though, because there is a spot on the hill with the slope that you can use the Sheridan to its full potential. So
well, yes, but if you send the Sheridan there, being the only okay, now we see a bit more realistic lineup. But if they kept the lineup that they had just now and they sent the Sheridan to that spot, he would be alone.
But he can run away easily.
Yes. But the chances are he will be destroyed before he reaches the bottom of the hill. And they don't know that Feast is only taking one Sheridan. They can't basically see that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We now see a very different lineup appear. I'm very glad they're dropping the super heavies because that's just not been working out for them. This is a much more realistic line.
They're still changing though.
Sorry? Yeah, they are.
Still changing.
But we see on face side seems to be very steady with quintuple IS4s, a Sheridan and a Mouse, which basically it takes all the weaknesses of the IS4s but also all the strengths. It is a relatively okay lineup. In my opinion, for me, I would take more E5s, but that's mostly because you want to be able to take that hill.
Yes. And especially on the Feast side, we're seeing Sleeping Lion Hong Kong, which is a player that we haven't seen a lot during the Blitz Cup preliminaries. How he's going to gel in with this team, we're going to see very soon. And meanwhile, Team ID, the lineup, no particular person that I think hasn't played a lot during the Blitz Cup preliminary. So this is a team that has been playing with one another, with each other a lot during the Blitz Cup preliminary. So I'll be expecting them to kind of do well with the kind of the focus fire and also the rotation. But anything could happen.
I just hope they've kind of regrouped after the last matches, both of these teams, to be honest.
Yes.
CX using the old avatar.
True.
But let's see. Into the game we go. If it actually loads, because that's generally helpful. Here we go. Ooh, radioactive armor does look nice on the IS4. Liney is sporting it.
There we go. Let's head up high to the sky, shall we?
Up
and we're going to see,
away.
yes, Team ID going mostly into C, with most of the tanks dead. IDS will be capturing B, and now Feast are also going mostly to C, but they're saying 2 tanks instead for A.
Sleeping
and
Lion immediately taking hit there.
Oof.
They're
Not a good
backing
start,
away from
though.
base C.
True.
I mean, with Silver there and Sleeping Lion there, they can guess that there's going to be more tanks up above. But we have the Mouse pushing into the middle.
That was a good
goes in behind.
missile.
Oh, Campon losing a big amount of HP there.
But then he did a really good missile shot into Sleeping Lion Hong Kong with that. Well, he got hit a lot actually. Now got hit by 6x.
We have Mugu sneaking up behind.
Yeah, that was a really prompt move from Feast. They didn't get A, they just go straight in. That could be a good idea for them because they're now up by more than 3 kilometer advantage, and that could be a good, solid advantage for them. They don't have caps though, so time is taken away for them.
Exactly, especially with ID now having 2 caps, but we have Marky and IDS. Well, but Marky and Mugu basically bullying IDS.
And Team ID are already making a push. They're going to shut down Sleeping Lion Hong Kong. He's not going to be long for this game. They're sending everyone to do that. And IDS is down as well, but Feast needs to be quick in the regroup.
Yeah,
Sleeping Lion Hong Kong is dead.
Base C is now being stolen. We have Flo that is losing a lot of HP here. That missile did not hit Lani. Maddox being quite too forwards here. He's known to do that.
Yeah, but to Team ID this time, they are much more consolidated, but still Hipwood's still in favor of Feast. Feast, they're steadily regrouping, but the Mouse is very, very slow. Jackie Mark still at the back a bit. He's
Maddox
trying his
losing
best.
Quite a bit of HP here. Flo now being pushed by Mugu, but basically that shot not doing any damage. Campon has finally been taken out. It is chaotic gameplay this again.
Chaotic. But Hipwoods are now in favor of Team ID. Feast absolutely need the focus fire because in this chaotic affair, Focus fire is all you need to win this affair.
Yes.
Jackie Mark's still really healthy. I'm genuinely worried about Feast.
Silver is out. Mugi is going to be very gone. There he goes.
Focus fire.
They need that.
They need
We have
that.
Maddox not looking too healthy. Still alive though. We have
No.
the mouse. They're going
Very
after Gayam, which
healthy.
is a good call, but Maddox is not going to survive this.
Oh, bounce onto
There it
Gayam. No. Gayam is a one-shot, but it's absolutely that needs to be killed.
Oh my
Feast still
God.
with a hit point advantage. This is, I'm standing on the Tower of Babel watching this massacre happening.
Radioactive is nicely staying put. It is now 2 versus 3. It can still happen. But it
It
will
can
be
still
difficult
happen.
unless CX actually pulls back towards the mouse rather than away from him, because he needs that
No.
cover.
No.
He needs that help. And point-wise, ID has a massive advantage. They just need to stay alive.
Stay alive,
That's
and Jackie Buck can't do much about that. Even though Feast has a hit point advantage, I think it's ID.
It
No
is
doubt.
ID. They're keeping Radioactive safe for a reason. He's running away to keep the points safe. Even if Lynx is down, and CX is going to die before that. Basically,
Oh, they're getting
now
C
he's
as
going
well.
to die. There he goes. So it's just the mouse, and now he's having base C as well to basically add salt into the wound. We see
No.
potentially a ram hug. No, it doesn't. He cheat him for 43 damage. That is not going to
Oh.
cut it here.
No. But Team ID with 985 cap points. Oh, Vicus Light. Radioactive did a shot into Jackie Mark. That was that landed
He's
a
still
really
doing
big
it,
punch
but
to
they
him.
win on points.
Yes.
Thing is that in this case, Feast was too chaotic. They almost had it. But
no.
the way that they
I-
pushed up
well,
the slopes.
Yeah. True. But I kind of have to give credit to ID. I thought they were in big trouble, but they did a really decisive move in pushing out Sleeping Lion Hong Kong. That
Yes.
won them the game. That really won them the game. Meanwhile, Feast trying to I think they sent like 3 to 4 tanks down there, meaning that ID have the terrain advantage, and Feast, and the focus file Feast is kind of lackluster in my opinion. So I think a combination of these factors mean that ID had that game, and they were much more consolidated and focused this time.
Yes, very true. And it was actually kind of sad, because I think that if Feast had pulled back more towards the city, not like into the city, but on the hillside towards the city, they could have used all their tanks.
Yeah.
But because Sleeping Lion was basically left alone, we had Maddox going after kills, or basically pushing over that hill, on top of the hill, basically, very aggressively. It didn't work out. He lost too much HP for just doing that.
And especially when Maddox was like defending with that ridge, ice for 6 degrees of gun depression, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Not really the tank for how down there. And now Team ID going back
Oh
to
my
triple
God.
U100.
They're doing it again.
Yes, do note that they did that before on middle against HLV, and they won that game. Would that be the case this time? We'll see very soon.
We'll have to see, but they're up against 3 IS4s and 140, 2 E5s and a Vickers, and
Yes.
they are taking those 3 E100s and E3, Sheridan, E5 and IS4. So they have a bit more mobility than they had on Black Goldville, but still it's going to be very tricky for them.
It is going to be, for sure. And now we're going to see oh yes, we've announced the lineup, so I'm not going to repeat that.
The
Team
difference is
ID
you
on the
always
north
call
side.
specific players with it. I'm just looking at the tanks here.
I love to call the tank. I don't know. I got influenced by one game that calls all the player names. I mean the names before the match. So that's why I'm calling the player names with the respective tanks. That's why I do, because I was influenced by a game. If you know that game, then you know what I'm talking about.
But we have ID pushing
yeah.
into base A, and we have Maddox and Sleeping Lion holding base B. We've seen
Yes.
this before, and then it
Pernicious.
worked really well.
And
But
now
we'll have to
Team
wait
ID.
and see.
Yes, Team ID getting A this time, and they will get a cap lead. Feast would not be
Slightly less than a tanks
slightly,
difference.
not be far from that. So, but they're very spread out.
Radioactive is like This is such. I don't trust this. He's pulling back behind the building, which I think is a good call. Because base B is not unprotected.
Yes, and they spotted nothing. And do you know that ID didn't spot a lot of tanks so far, and so does Feast. So now F Silver spotted up radioactive. That's crucial information, but both teams are just like walking in a dark room. They don't know what's going on.
And right now we have ID actually trying
that was
to get
mark.
Oof,
Missile! Didn't get blessed by the
this is
gods.
clever by ID because they're used. This is basically what I meant with Feast last match. If they had played more like Campon and Plo here, Plo's only function here is to spot for the E3 behind him. He's not looking to get any shots in himself. He's basically there to get targets for their TD, which is clever.
Right. F Silver rotated a bit, but that was kind of an illusion. I think he went back to the base and kind of went to spot up the IDS, but that's not the case. Both Maddox and IDS are spotted. Missiles flying around the map, and that's the only sound we're hearing from the game at the moment.
E3 has not been spotted, but he is relocating to go up the hill. That can be tricky. Silver has now been spotted. If the E3 had been where he was before, he would be murdered so badly now.
Not really. I think he has cover with these kind of hills like that, so he's safe for now.
Yeah, he is now, but where the E3 was before, he would have been hit very easily.
Ooh, oh, there's that blind fire into F Silver. I think that was a blind fire. I think that was a really good blind fire from Team ID. What was I was wondering what Feast would be thinking at this point.
Maddox in the meantime capping base B, getting them that advantage which they need. The bigger the advantage they can get, the better.
Yes.
And now they're forcing Campon from his position. We see some blue fire lines, but he doesn't take that much damage for it.
Right, Feast, they have 2 caps, but they don't have the hit point advantage. They will try their best to defend. Or what happened to Maddox?
He got hit by an E100.
Oh no, that's not good. Now E100 is closing in to Maddox, but Sleeping Lion Hong Kong and tracked IDS. That was a good track shot, but meanwhile, Team ID are pushing onto the C cap. This is going to descend into Entropy.
Basically, we have 2 E100s versus 2 IS4s. And if those E100s manage to oh, sorry, not 1 E100 and Campon. Campon is not in a good position there. And we have Maddox, who's almost gone. Sleeping Lion is giving chase. He's not going to be able to do that. They need to take out IDS on the next reload, otherwise Maddox is dead.
Yes. Bumuga needs to penetrate that shot in.
Maddox is gonna be gone. There he goes.
He is gone.
Oof, Bumuga is gone as well. There goes Frost and IDS is gone. It is not working out very well for Feast here.
No, Feast are falling apart, unfortunately, and Team ID once again really good coordination and a push. They coordinated that push on 2 sides really well. Well-timed push. Really well done to them.
This is basically the action that we saw around base B. I loved it, but at the same time, that basically they needed to double tap that E100, Sleeping Lion and Maddox, and one of them didn't get the shot in, and that cost Maddox his life, which basically threw their whole game off. Like it wasn't the turning point, but it was one of the turning points that caused them to lose this match.
Yes. I don't know now. Feast, it's unreal. I got Feast as the winners of the Blitz Asia Cup, but now it's match point to ID.
Yeah. Exactly. Feast has to win 3 games in a row. In order to get it. But Feast is really not having their game today.
No, they are very off today. They look very lackluster. The Team ID, well played to them. They regrouped themselves. They've put up really strong performances so far. Can they continue into Faust? Faust is a bit more heavy oriented for the Asia server, and that could benefit Team ID more than Feast.
Well,
especially when
yes
Team
and
ID
no, because Feast tends to learn a lot more from the EU clans. So that could be interesting, because if we look at the lineup with the Vickers and the 140, but also the E5s and the 215B, you have a nice mix of mobility and basically armor. And versus, well, basically the one AMX, that's also rare. ID taking only one of the AMX 50Bs.
Yeah. They're going very soft here. I mean, they have 1-3 Invictus Lights and then double E5s and just only 2 very strong, heavily armored tanks, IS-4. But that can be said for Feast as well. But both the teams going really light this time, unusually light. That's not something that I was expecting, to be honest with you.
So let's see. Into the game we go. CX still using the wrong avatar.
Imposter.
Yes. So, eject. But let's see, here we go. I do absolutely love this map though. I know that for tournament players, they probably hate it, but I love playing it and I love spectating it. Because it's one of those maps, it's just not predictable.
True, and I don't know, recently, there is some kind of bug with Faust. I'm getting some kind of, like, Minecraft-ish bug. Like, I can see things below it, below some
that's
surface. That's not good. Yeah, I don't know. Lanny getting D, so now Feast also is getting C, so it's going to be capped to Feast at the moment.
I think they also wanted to get base B, but they all got spotted, so that's going to be very tricky for them to get. CX is moving in order to maybe get it, but he's not going for it. He's still spotted. He's going up the ramp there.
Yeah, very aggressive in the E5 there. He can spot. He spotted up length. Can he put a shot into the game? No, he can't, I believe. But Campen headed that, so I think that's going to melt some snow over here. But but more snow being shot at, it's going to melt, and we're going to see some flooding on Faust potentially.
Base A now being kept.
Oh gosh. More snow being shot at, I mean.
Yeah. Can you imagine just what the maps would look like if it actually worked that way, though? Just the slush that you would get for tanks driving places. We have ID rotating around towards base C now, which is unprotected. They have one tank, if Feast has one tank in the spawn. So it's not completely alone there, but it is pretty much a free cap for ID if they dare and go in it, which they don't just yet.
But interesting call for Feast because they kind of had a sixth sense there that something's going on C. They're exactly rotating to counter the ID's forces. A good shell into both Length and Game, but still Team ID with a hit point advantage. It's going to be an uphill battle. Well, it's going to be very close to call. Feast still with a hit point, cap point advantage.
In the meantime, we have Campon being rushed by CX. Silva and Mugu are joining him. They are doing basically what ID did last match. They're going for a two-front battle.
True, but meanwhile, Team ID is pushing onto the tanks of Maddox, Sleeping Lion, and Silver. It's going to be whoever kills all tanks first. But in the meantime, Mugu and F Silver are going to the backside of the Team ID's pushes, and this is going to be interesting to see who is going to come on top.
Exactly, because when you have a pincer movement like this, it can work out really well, or it can work out very much against you. In this case, we have so many micro battles going on. Frost is not going to survive this. He might survive one more reload, but it's unlikely. There he goes. But there goes Linked as well. Campon is gone. And basically now they're focusing on Lani. Maddox is not looking too good either. He's going to disappear as well. Gayam is actually going to help Radioactive with that.
Yes, and he's down by Game, and it's going to be 5 versus 5, still very close call. Feast with a slight hit point advantage, and they have a cap point advantage, so time is taken against Team ID at this point.
In this case, I would say that if Feast plays careful enough, they will have it. But that is more to do with the way that they are positioned and the way that ID is basically trapped below than anything else. And the Vicus and Mugu now wisely moving away, because as long as they survive, and they could potentially try and cap base D, maybe. Oof. AMX being absolutely hammered here. Yeah,
it's not a bad move from Torielica here. But also do notice that, not now, but previously, Vicus Light and Object 140 on the Feast side are full health. So they can use these two tanks to kind of make a punishment here. Now they are taking more and more hits. Lanny's not going to be long for this world. He's down. It's going to be Feast, I can call it.
But Silver dies first. Sleeping
Ooh.
Lion does as well. That is a rem kill. Basically, in this case, they can take out Radioactive, but I'm not sure. Well, no, they can definitely take out Game on their own. They have too
True.
much HP for this. There's no way that ID is taking this match point-wise, unless it gets to
No.
Magical Emeralds, which is just not going to happen.
No, it's just one more shot and they'll be done. Unless they're going to bounce all of their shots and win the game by caps. No,
Exactly. But there we
they're
go.
going to
It's
kill
both.
that. Yes, it
That
reminds
pin
me of...
move, the two-front move, which could go very wrong, actually worked out really well
for Feast.
for Feast.
Really good job. Very well coordinated. I mean, they controlled that two-front push really well. Meanwhile, Team ID, it reminds me, if you remember, if it's the first game of Team ID versus HLV, where they didn't kill off Sarutsu. This time, they didn't punish those Vickers Light and 140. But that's because they were flagging from behind. And that's exactly what you should be doing in a light time medium, and Feast exactly showed us that.
And in the meantime, look at the damage that the Vickers and the 140 did.
Yeah,
They were key to the victory.
Over 8k in total, 4 kills as well. I mean, men of the match for me.
Exactly. And they preserved their HP for long enough so that they could push in together and not have to worry about getting shot, because they would survive it either way. They out DPM'd the rest of ID tremendously at the end.
Yeah, and also imagine having 2 mediums or lights still full health in the late game stages. How much of control you have at that point?
It was so clever.
Yes, but at the same time, ID didn't really they didn't really kind of like punish the tanks in front of them quickly enough so that they can turn around to kind of punish those mediums and hold their flank.
Yeah. So now, still match point for ID. If they win the next match, then they have to match up, and then I Feast is out. But if Feast continues to bring this form the next 2 games, all bets are off.
But the Feast has some really, really huge pressure. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to be under the pressure on Venus, and Team ID will be under the pressure of Mars.
Oh my god. Honestly, though, Feast generally performs well under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, they are resistant to corrosion, so... We'll see if that's going to be the case. I'm
my God.
sorry.
No, you're not. Anyhow, here we go into the 4th match of this best of 5.
Team ID on the north spawn and Feast on the south spawn. Team ID will be going mostly to B and D, C and D, and Team and Feast sending 2 of their mediums or lights over to A. And who will get the cap lead this time? We will see.
I think that ID is now more prepared for the meds to come around. They're not yet going into base A, which is clever. They're taking some blind shots, well, in this case, into the building rather than into the bush.
Yes. Cameron's getting spotted as well, CXCX in that bush, but I don't think he's going to penetrate anything. Linked is spotted, but Linked in that position, if you look at his position, I mean, he's held down really nicely. How is it possible to kind of penetrate the armor, the turret armor like that? I don't know.
The thing is, though, Feast has not gone for any cap.
No.
And that can be tricky. I mean, of course, you don't need to start with a cap advantage, but in this case, it can be very painful not to have one.
I mean, it's better to start off with your cap advantage so that you can reduce the pressure. More relaxing, yeah. And cap is now tagged by the tanks of Silver and Bifrost. Now they're going to get a base on D, but Feast are very spread out.
Another one.
Yeah, they need another one, and they probably need more than 1 kill to kind of swing it back into their favor now.
3, actually. There's a 84 point advantage, so its most tank is, I think, 40 points. So
40 points. I mean, 40 points gained for one team and 40 points lost for another team, which accounts for an 80 difference. 2 tanks.
Just over 2 tanks, because it's it's 84 points that their advantage is.
Yeah, but Well, Radioactive is spotted and in a really aggressive position. He's going to get some important info. He spotted up Sleeping Lion, but that's the only tank he spotted. But does that mean ID knows most of the tanks of Feast RNA? I think they know it.
Yes. Oh, big hit into Radioactive there.
Oh, no.
But he's still very much alive.
Very much alive, but he stayed there for maybe a bit too long. He got the information, but that could be costly because now Feast are getting aggressive with C. Good shot interlinked by Magnus, but it was a trade, not a one-way trade here.
And we have all of ID pulling back into their spawn, which can be a weakness if Maddox stops being this aggressive and actually lets them push into the line of fire.
Oh dear, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea to cap base speed because that means ID can push now because they know they might have the tank advantage here, and this is exactly what they're going to do. CP Line is in loads of trouble here, and if he's
Maddox not looking too healthy. Oof, that first shot from the AMX missing can be very costly here for ID. Very
costly, but it's all the focus up on the focus fire. I think they will want to focus linked at first and try their best to hold as long as they could. Sleeping Lion Hong Kong doing an absolutely fantastic job, staying alive as long as he could, and linked down.
And now Sleeping Lion dies, but he indeed survives for way longer than I thought he would. Frost now in trouble, but so is Blow. But now Blow has he's reloaded his clip. There he goes. But Mugu lost a lot of HP for that.
True, Headpoint's still neck and neck though. It's all about focus fire. Whoever has the better focus fire will win. That's an important kill there from Team ID.
Mugu is also not going to survive this. Gayam is being gunned for. But
it's a bounce! Oh no, CXCX onto Gayam. Crucial bounce there.
Very
could have killed off.
Oh. But there he goes. Mugu is still alive. CX actually moving in to protect him. Lani is so focused on Mugu that he's actually not getting the kill for it. Frost has been taken out. We have Maddox being taken out. It is 3 versus 4. Anything can still happen. Mugu is still alive.
This happened. But Radioactive still alive. The is like at the back. That could be very important. Mugu dropping down without taking any damage. That's important. Yes.
But now CX is gone.
Mugu's going to go down.
Gonna be gone. There goes Mugu, and now it's just Silver. And ID has a massive point advantage here, but also gun advantage and everything. This is ID's game.
ID's game, yes.
Is knocked out on the first day.
Yes.
Just what?
What?
None of us expected this to happen, and it ends with a flying turret. Hats off to ID.
Oh my, hats off to ID. Main issue, trying to capture B. I think Feast opened a Pandora's box there.
To be fair, they didn't. ID responded around that time, but they didn't push with 7 people. They left their figures in their spawn.
Yes, that's true though, but
this was so close though. About 1.5k damage between them.
Yes. And you have Team ID with 3 tanks doing more than 3k, and Feast only 4 tanks doing more than 2k. Same for Team ID, but it was Team ID with the kills and with the focus fire, and also Vicky Slide staying alive at the very end. So crucial for Team ID.
It was very crucial.
Yes, and that is it for today. Oh, man.
Tomorrow we start off with JV versus HLV. The loser of that is going up against ID, and the winner of that match is going up against the winner from GV versus HLV. Whew.
Oh my goodness me! Oh man.
I mean, it's legit sad that both Feast and ID just didn't have their day today.
No.
We both, we all expected just way better than this from both of them. And it's not like they were just having an off day. You could see that they weren't coordinating or focus firing as much as they usually do.
Especially Feast, they bounce this a lot more shells. Their focus fire wasn't really what I was expecting today. I mean, they were much better before the focus fire, and Team ID finally regrouping. That was some really good wins I'm seeing right there.
Yeah,
from them. They need to do much better tomorrow if they want to stand a chance in the Blitz Asia Cup.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting because, like I said, I'm really eager to see GV versus HLV
Right.
based on the gameplay today. You never know what their gameplay is going to be like tomorrow, but that goes for all teams. But if they bring the same similar gameplay as we saw today, I would not be able to call it. I think
No.
HLV would have a tiny advantage based on the fact that they play more reactively
Definitely.
to what the enemy is doing.
I think they are the only team that played even better with the advantage they had already,
Yeah.
I would say. And GV is actually somewhat different than what we saw before. They were a lot more decisive, coordinated, and more like rushing the pack instead of really playing for caps, which was kind of the main theme for GV in the Blitz Cup preliminary. So that
Yeah.
kind of difference in style, would that be something that HLV would not be expecting tomorrow? We'll see.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun and it's going to be interesting. And basically, if we see games like today, I won't be disappointed.
No, won't be disappointed either. And tomorrow is going to be really, really fun.
But I have
Sure.
to say, big kudos to Feast, even though they got knocked out, because they did still get top 4. So there's no shame in that. And it's just sad that basically you lose because your enemy is having a great day and you're not having the best days.
Yeah, I was I would definitely be ruling my call on Feast being kind of the firm favorites for the PlayStation Cup. In the analysis,
you-
I
you
wrote on
made-
the forum.
You made a whole analysis video, and this is
Yes.
basically for the people watching. If you haven't subscribed to Jack, his name is Wild One's Helper. Definitely look him up and give him a sub because he does amazing content as well. And he also
you.
made like a whole analyze video for Asia. And I'll have to admit, I don't watch YouTube, so I haven't watched it. But
Yeah.
what
also
did you expect?
I
today?
was I also wrote a forum post about the teams where I laid out my predictions and about the teams, the rankings of them. I was predicting Feast and then Team ID and then GV and then HLV in the order of the ranking in the end. I wasn't expecting what I was seeing today. I was expecting like the reverse.
But when you have all the analyze, you have streamed the whole season, you made the video and everything.
Yep.
And then this day turns out so completely different to what you expect. When you're streaming tournament battles, is that something that you actually really like? Or are you like slightly disappointed that your analysis was sort of off?
I would say slightly disappointed because right now you can just make memes about me calling something very wrong.
For me,
yeah.
I always like it when it gets this different than what you expect. I mean, Feast has been the big favorite from Asian server for pretty much a few years now because they've been the only ones that actually got the focus fire right. Only this season, I mean, they've been very strong before, but this day they definitely did not bring that.
This doesn't remind me of Feast. I believe there must be something going on personally in their team, or maybe they had an argument before the Blitz Asia Cup that meant that they didn't do what they were expecting to, and that could also be a warning sign for teams like 7-Star and also Rain that you cannot take this lightly. You need to do really well in order to kind of because once again I think 7-Star is a firm favorite for the CIS region. And Rain is also a firm favorite for the NA region, but tonight has proven that even though if you're a firm favorite, if you don't do well, if you don't do the basics well, you're going to be knocked out.
Yeah. And on that line, give us your analysis, Fujit.
Well, firstly, where's Feast? They didn't show up today. Where are they? I mean, we'll start with Middleburg because. And again, Feast guys, if you're watching, I don't mean to be overly nasty or critical. I'm not. I'm trying my hardest. I'm just being an armchair analyst. The first game on Middleburg, Feast started well. I'll be fair. They started really well. There was a big push through CCAP by ID. But Feast were very good. They closed down IDS and the IS4 down at the B cap, but then the push from ID at C seemed to sort of knock Feast off guard a little bit. And then ID were just able to bleed them. And I've never seen that with Feast. I mean, Feast have normally dealt with these things quite easily and in their stride. I mean, when you look at, say, the EU server, Raid do a similar thing where they are able to react quickly to pushes and it doesn't knock them. Feast normally do that, but this push by ID at C seemed to sort of knock them off guard. ID had much better focus fire. It got into a brawly game, and at the end, the focus fire of Feast just wasn't there.
They were so spread out.
Absolutely. I mean, the damage count at the end, 4K more damage dished out by ID in that game compared to Feast. All I can say is Feast started really well. They closed down IDS and the IS4, thought this is going to be good. They're going to be able to push on him, take him down, and then coordinate to know that the rest of the ID team are up north. But it just didn't pan out that way, and Feast seemed to collapse. In the second game, wow, I mean, this is not the Feast that we know, absolutely. And I said, previously, three E100s don't work. This time it worked. It was no surprise from that lineup that the E100s were going to go into the city. That should have been not surprising for anybody. And that's exactly what they did. That gave, if Feast went to C, if you notice, majority of their team went to C. They should have read that, knowing that they had tank advantage at the C cap. Feast then became very passive at C for some reason. I don't know why. This then allowed them, basically ID, to take their time in the city with those E100s. So much so that at one stage, Gayem comes out of the city in his E100 and goes up to help it C.
Yeah.
And Feast still didn't push, but they had the advantage. And then again, I don't know what is going on with Feast, because this is not what I expected from them. There was no hit point sharing. There was no protection. If you called out with Maddox and Sleeping Lion, how they didn't close down that E100 in the city to the loss of Maddox is confused me. The E100 was a one-shot. Maddox was also a one-shot. Sleeping Lion was like on almost 2,000 HP.
I have to correct you there a little bit. The E100 was a two-shot. But,
was he a two-shot? Sorry.
They needed to double tap him, and one of them bounced or missed.
And then the other one missed. And then Sleeping Lion went after the Sheridan.
Yeah.
But the Sleeping Lion could have put himself in front of Maddox to protect him.
See, exactly. And if they had wiggled together,
absolutely,
there would have been a chance that he wouldn't have done any damage to them at all.
But not only did they lose a tank, but they also left a tank alive, which was crucial.
Yeah.
And then we had at the end things go, but again, I mean, they failed to HP share. There was almost a 5,000 damage difference in that game at the end between ID and Feast. And that just goes to show how passive Feast were at that C cap.
Exactly. I think you nailed it there, because I think that if they had pushed through C and gone after that E3 and all, they could have had it.
They had the advantage up there. And, Maddox is a great guy, and he reads the game very well. And I'm very surprised that he didn't read that. Maybe he did. I don't know. We don't hear what the teams have to say.
They were having an off day. That includes their caller.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Third game, Faust. That is the Feast that we know and love.
Yes.
That was much better from Feast. They had better positions. They used their meta better. Their focus fire was spectacular. They were hit point sharing. They were defending. They allowed ID to push on them, and they bled them to death.
Yeah.
That is the Feast we know and love. Everything about that game is Feast. All I've got is great positioning by them. They got their fast cap. They got the fast cap. They got the cap advantage. They rotated nicely. They put ID under pressure. and they were just able to focus fire much better than we saw in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
That was brilliant game by Feast, a brilliant game. And I thought, when I heard you commentating, I thought, yeah, I think they're going to roll that into the next game. And then I got confused.
I think so with Feast. That's where it went wrong.
They put themselves under immense pressure. I don't understand why they didn't fast cap D when they saw C was being capped. Boon Magoo was there in the Object 140. I don't know why that wasn't capped. They didn't cap it for a long time. That put them under pressure. They had no way back from this. They had to take tanks out at this stage, or take the A cap at the same time. They played into ID's hands. If you watch ID's positioning, ID just positioning their spawn.
Yeah, they were. And I think it's the issue here was that with Maddox and Sleeping Lion and I forgot the third, going up those ramps, that is a very tricky position because you can't get out of there. You don't really have the gun depression to make it work. And it gave ID the ability to just push because the rest of Feast was sort of spread around and they would be able to get shots in, but they weren't like hunkered down. I think going up those ramps is what effectively cost Feast the game there.
It's ironic because when I go back to the first game on Faust, Feast contained ID in basically Feast spawn towards the end. And if you look at the way Feast positioned their tanks, there was nowhere for ID to push. Absolutely nowhere. No matter where they went from that position, Feast were going to decimate them.
Yeah.
When you look at the second game, it was completely the opposite, whereby Feast put themselves under pressure, ID were far more composed, and they just sat back and let Feast make all the mistakes. It's not like Feast. And as you say, today is just a completely off day for Feast. It's just not their day. Congratulations to ID. They played a sensible game, completely different to what we saw against HLV.
Yeah.
Their meta picks were more what we'd expect from these maps. They used their meta a lot better than what we saw in the games against HLV. Yeah. They were more composed. They were less panicky, and they
much more coordinated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whereas Feast, wow, they just didn't show up today. I have to say that. I mean, I love Feast as much as you do. I have a soft spot in my heart for Feast as well. And watching in the prequels where they went unbeaten, they were much better, much coordinated, on top of their game. It's just a blip, I think. And it's not what you want to see going out on the first day. But you're right. Congratulations. They're still top 4. They're still one of the best clans in Asia. You can't take that away from them. They worked hard. And I know I spoke to Maddox, and yes, they've had a bit of a transition period this year. So it's not all over. This is not the death throes of Feast by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. They just weren't here on the day. And, it's a big arena and they've worked hard to get here. They'll be disappointed. And I feel for them because they've worked hard to get here. And I know that. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, somebody's got to lose. And unfortunately, it was Feast. Congratulations to ID for getting through tomorrow. Big congratulations to GV and HLV for getting into that upper bracket final tomorrow.
Yes.
It's all going to be there to play. I'm disappointed that Feast aren't there because I love Feast. But, I know they're going to be mortally disappointed. They're going to be so upset with themselves.
I think they didn't see this coming either. And I think that's the most bitter pill that they can take.
Yeah, I've spoken to Maddox for the last couple of weeks, and I've asked him, is he excited? And they've all been excited, and they've all been confident, and they've been oozing confidence since the prequels. They're going to be gutted, and I feel for them for that because it's not nice.
No,
going out like this, especially when you're so much better than this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's the biggest issue. It's one thing to lose against another team because they're better. It's something quite not different to lose against another team because you're playing badly.
Absolutely. And, I just want to say, Feast, if you're watching, don't be too disheartened, guys.
We still love you.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Besides that, a lot of people on the chat are saying us to kind of keep on discussing. So
That's probably
on
because
that,
they don't
just-
have all the keys yet.
just on that point, because I've been telling the chat this as well. I've now got all my 5 keys, by the way.
Yeah, same.
nice, that's good.
And
I
I've been,
didn't
watching,
think-
I've been watching from the beginning, so there you go.
The timer
didn't get-
started at
Sorry.
about 1:45, so I'm going to stream until at least just for another 10 minutes or so, because then
yeah.
everyone that started watching from the beginning will have had their keys. So if you started watching late, that's not my problem. But I never
Absolutely.
count the time before the battle. I always start counting from the beginning of the battles. So because I expect most people to tune in at that time. So that's at least another 10 or 15 minutes, and then you have like 10 minutes extra, so to speak,
Yeah.
from the start of the battle stage.
But just going back to Feast event ID, we saw what Feast are capable of in that first game on Faust, and that is what they are capable of. They dominated that game, absolutely dominated it.
And
their,
Fudget.
their use of their meta and their positioning was just spot on, and that's what we are always expecting from Feast.
Yes.
But they brought it out too late, and they'd already put themselves under pressure. And I know, and I agree with Amy, that Feast do generally work nicely under pressure, but they put themselves unnecessarily under too much pressure today, I think.
Yeah, and also,
I have to laugh here. I had my green screen on, so everything that is green is being filtered out. My soda bottle is green, so my drink was floating.
No, I mean further to Fudget's points. I mean, he's very right about Feast. Though Feast, we've been seeing the reason why they're so good is the use of mobility and the use of the mediums and lights to their fullest potential in terms of the shutting tanks down, focus fire, and also playing around with caps. In fact, that is the main point why I think Feast can do really well in this tournament, and this is why this is the kind of the main point I put in my analysis. And Feast, I believe they haven't shown us that. To be honest with you, some of their lineup choices is somewhat questionable in my opinion, because that's not the lineup that I would be expecting from a Feast team. I would be expecting like 2 to 3 mediums or lights. I mean, most of the cases they did, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount of heavy tanks that it took, because that was sort of old meta.
Sort of the meta they haven't been playing a lot, so I was quite worried whether they can work with just only 1 medium or light, and I think it didn't work for all of them, or for all of the games they use only 1 medium or light, except maybe Mine Ruins, if I remember correctly. But I remember it's only 1, but I couldn't.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that shocked me about Feast today. I mean, I streamed them throughout the whole of the pre-qualifications, and one of my favorite players in Feast is Boone Magoo. The way he runs around the map in a medium like a crazy thing, and he is so effective.
Yeah.
He was not there today. He hadn't shown up today.
Except the one match on Faust.
Except the one on Mouse. On Faust. This is not the Boone Magoo. This is not the Boone Magoo I know. I mean, Boone Magoo is beautiful to watch. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch how Feast normally play, Boone Magoo is such a nuisance to any team.
Yes. I mean, I've put like the highlights, the videos. I mean, in the forum post. I mean, watch the first 2 videos. Like, they are representative of what Boone Magoo is capable of. And don't forget about his partner in crime, F Silver, as well. I mean,
I was about to come on to F Silver. I love watching Boone Magoo, and I love watching I love watching the guys in Feast. And if you go back and look how effective these guys are in their mediums, and then you stick them in, you have a very heavy lineup. It does show. And poor old Boone Magoo wasn't there today, except on that game in Faust. And that was obvious, which is a shame, because, as I said, he is a nuisance to any team. He really is. And I'm not just picking on Boone Magoo, because I'm not picking on him at all. But it just goes to show that Feast just didn't turn up today. Because I can guarantee you, if you said to me, would you bet on Boone Magoo being a complete nightmare again today? I said, yeah, I'll put $100 on that
Always.
because he's a nuisance. Yet he wasn't today, and that just shows. I don't think the guys in Feast their heads weren't there. Let's put it that way. And it's a shame.
Yeah,
and
it's
they'll
sad.
be good, and I'm gutted for them, and they'll be gutted because going out this early it's like watching. It's like saying, you know, Barcelona are no longer in the Champions League. It's big for them. So I mean, they were the favourites going on their strengths in the pre-quals, and this is not how Feast play normally. So
No.
you know, I think that's obvious to virtually everybody that it's just not what we expect from them. And I don't know what the issue is. I mean, it could be that I don't know if they've had ping issues or they've got communication issues. Because don't forget, they're not in a room together. They're all spread out all over Asia or the world. So you don't know. We don't know if they've had issues in that respect. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So we could just put it down to just not their day. Simple as that.
Exactly.
not
This is sad, but it is what it is. We can't change
Absolutely.
it.
Oof,
But looking on the positives, though, we saw some great stuff from Feast on the second game on the first game on Faust.
Exactly.
Moving to ID, I was glad to see ID adjusted themselves down from the disaster that they brought out against HLV.
Yeah.
That was good. That they'd obviously gone away. They consolidated. They banged their heads together. They were a lot more composed and a lot more coordinated against Feast.
I was
Now,
very glad to see that.
Well, I don't know if it's because they expected Feast to be a harder, tougher opponent than HLV, and maybe they dropped their guard a bit against HLV, and HLV took them by surprise, and they said, "Well, we can't do that against Feast because Feast are Feast." But they were a lot better against Feast than they were against HLV. So well done for ID for dusting yourself off and coming back like that, because that's brilliant to watch. It's good to see.
Yeah.
I mean, looking into tomorrow, we're going to be starting off first with GB vs HLV, same time as we started our stream. So also rewards are there, I believe, for tomorrow. Go over and watch the streams, and you'll get some lucrative rewards. But let's actually kind of like talk about GB vs HLV. I mean, but with the way that HLV is playing today, I believe they have a really strong chance coming into this upper bracket final, and GB being the underdogs and also the unpredictables. I just think that's going to be some exciting matches we are in for.
Well, you say that. I mean, GV beat Feast today.
3-1.
Feast didn't turn up, but GV will be going high on that. That's a big scalp for them, regardless of whether Feast turned up or not. GV will be feeling confident, and that confidence is a big thing at this level. It's a big thing. HLV will also be feeling confident, but it's a really difficult one to call because, as you said, I mean, you did your analytics video, which is great. If you haven't watched it, get over there and watch it, guys. Okay, it's all wrong, but because of the way things have turned out. But get over and watch it. But if you would have asked me yesterday, who's your firm favourite, I would have said Feast. And then I would have said probably ID, probably GV, and probably HLV. That's all changed. And it's all changed to, well, I don't know. You know, the odds-on favourite now is not Team ID, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to call it between GV and HLV because they're clearly chomping at the bit, these guys. They want to win it. Both of them want to win it. And when you've got the hunger to win it like that, you can't call it. It's going to be too close to call. And, you know, we're going to see probably some great, I mean, HLV played some spectacular games today. We're probably going to see more of that tomorrow. GV are probably going to bring something to the table. I think it's going to be tight. It will. And then thrown into all that is Team ID, who are going to be happy.
If they put it back together today, like we saw against Feast, and not like we saw against HLV earlier today, all bets are off. They can still do it if they bring it.
Yeah. It's It's setting up for a very interesting today, tomorrow, and you've got it. These guys, they're hungry for this now. In Feast, ID will be a bit more confident than they were earlier, and it's going to be difficult to call it tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be close, and it's whoever wants it. Really, it's theirs to win, not to lose.
Oh man, I got besides I got 138 dislikes and 75 likes on my stream. Oof.
I don't want to know basically what my numbers are looking like.
Oh dear. That was the least liked video. I don't know why it has a lot of dislikes, like apart from the disgruntled Russians.
I think that.
Yeah.
People are not happy with the game. People are not happy with how the stream works. Basically, there's always haters. Haters gonna hate.
And you've got to remember, unfortunately, it seemed that the RU side of the stream for the rewards wasn't working correctly to begin with. So you're probably going to kill a lot of people just taking out that anger on you rather than wargaming because they can. So don't worry about that. To be fair,
a wise YouTuber once told me that you shouldn't worry about that because a dislike is still a click on your video.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to remember.
But I think it doesn't. I think it doesn't deserve the dislike.
But it deserved them coming in to watch you, and that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. And then I got more than 600 subscribers.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
To be honest.
What are you complaining about?
I'm complaining about 138 dislikes, like more than 60% of dislike for my stream, and I was so angry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Don't stress about it.
Basically, it's given exposure to your channel, and that's a very good thing. Basically, that is what you get from these tournaments. Your channel gets some nice exposure, and it's just fun. For me, YouTube is and always will be a hobby. I don't take it all too seriously.
Yes.
But I just enjoy it.
Meanwhile, though, my analysis video actually is now the most watched uploaded video that I have, I think. So no dislikes, so it's fine.
But that's the thing with analyzing stuff before the games actually happen, though, because you don't know what it's going to end up like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, a lot of things come into play, and you just don't, and we don't, because we're not in the team chat, we don't know what's going on, we don't know what's calling, what strats they're using, etc., etc. There are so many things that could be, we can understand one particular strat from one particular team, but that completely, doesn't take into account the strat for the other team.
Exactly.
And then it doesn't take into account how they react to the game, because you have a strat, but sometimes the strat goes out the window and you react on the ground in the game. And today we just saw Feast not able to do that, which is what they normally can do. Simple as that.
And HLV being the masters of that, to be honest with you today. They are the ones that read the strategies of the other team really well and reacting to that. I mean, especially them shutting down that Team ID's triple E100 strategy very nicely, playing into the weakness of that E100, completely shown why the triple E100 can fail horribly, miserably, if you know their weaknesses.
But that's what surprised me with the second game on Middleburg with Feast. I mean, they are seasoned guys. They know how to play this game. They're not 40%ers. They're pros. They know the game. They play it and play it and play it, and they understand everything about the game. They knew, or they should have known, or they would have known, those E100s were in the town. And their failure to push, or their passiveness in pushing C, knowing that 3 tanks are not there, confused me. Yeah, because that is what killed the game for Feast. To be fair, on that map, whereby they could have pushed, they would have known the E100s are not there. We can push over. We have got the tank advantage. We can focus fire. But I don't know. It just didn't seem to work out for them today. And going back to ID against HLV, it was like ID in those matches, they had their strats, and they didn't like reacting. And
No, they more. Whereas HLV really plays to what the enemy is doing. ID is one of
absolutely.
those teams. They play what they want to play,
Mhm.
and if that doesn't work, then they're caught off guard, and that's what happened against HLV.
Completely. That was the point I was trying to get to. Yeah, you summed it up much better than I could. That's exactly you're exactly right. And we saw a change in HLV in ID though when it came to Feast. They
Yeah, but
changed
that's
their
because
mindset.
they forced Feast basically into a corner. They got to play their bully,
Yes,
and Feast did not have the response that HLV did.
correct. And that's the big difference. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think it's
Ooh,
setting up to
absolutely.
be very tense indeed.
And on that
Yep.
note, we streamed for 3 hours now, or at least the stream has been
Yeah.
active for 3 hours now. So if
Yes.
you watched from the beginning, you will have had all the rewards that you could get now,
Mhm.
plus a
Yep.
little bit of extra time, just in case you came in a little late. And basically also to apologize for all the technical derp.
Especially at the start of the stream, which I profusely apologize for some reason, and also me not changing the scoreline very well today, and also a
It
lot of
all
different
happens.
Yeah.
Basically, we will be back for you tomorrow, but then on Wargaming's official channel, doing it all
Yes.
officially with official Wargaming hosts and official
Mhm.
analysts and official commentators and all of that.
Yeah.
So I hope you get to see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. It has been a blast. Massive congratulations to the teams that made it through. Still congratulations to Feast as well for making it this far.
Mhm.
And we will all see you tomorrow.